We're live.
Talking
Oh,
calls.
we're on?
Everything.
Okay. We probably should do the, oh, wait. You're the other chair.
Say what?
You're
Start.
you're in charge.
Bring the order meeting to order. Pledge the flag, if you would, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We got to go over the minutes from last time. Any questions on that? Where are we at?
Let's see, I'd emailed you the minutes late Tuesday, and I just provided hard copies now. I don't know if you want to take time to review those, or if you want to...
Sure, let's do it. Has anybody read them off the internet? You have already?
Good, they always are.
Have you read them? Everyone got any problems with them?
Nope, accurate.
Make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
So be it.
All in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 2.
Good mail.
What did I give you for mail?
I don't think I got
I'm
any
drawing
mail.
a blank.
No mail in my
Well,
packet.
it was just at the front of the packet. Oh, yeah, the invitation to the Board of Selectmen's public hearing on the Cooper Farm. They're going to open it next Monday, and then keep accepting comments through August, I think, on that.
Okay. I got,
Okay, we have salary, payroll going around, and we have bills going around. There are 3 different bills because of the changeover for the fiscal year. If you have any questions, please ask.
I don't know what's on the table for us.
We can weigh in what we'd rather see the town buy it, or we'd rather see post development, or...
If you want to make a recommendation. Who's going to the, who we sending over to that meeting? Are we sending anyone?
Are we sending anyone to the selectmen's meeting to listen, and are we gonna weigh in on the Cooper Farm for the selectmen? The planning board should send a response back as to what we'd like to do on it, or you wanna just let them handle it?
well, we'll need to come up with some form of a consensus, I'd assume, on our own, but where we decide what we feel is the right place, not just one particular industry. you know.
Like, do we have a, do we-
An
So do you
opinion.
wanna discuss it at some
Yeah,
point?
I think we should discuss it. When is there, the
Next Monday night, the 13th.
so we need to do some, talking about it this evening, I'd say.
We,
Can we do that without it, posting it?
sorry.
You shouldn't.
All right, then we won't.
Can we, when are the selectmen closing, can we discuss it on our next meeting, or are the selectmen gonna be closed by then?
Depends on the schedule for your next meeting, yeah.
I thought we said, that you said the 13th of August.
We did say that, but then I just got an invitation to a family reunion that was in the middle of a week camping trip.
You wanna do it
Going to Virginia?
before the 13th, you wanna do it,
Northern New Hampshire.
wanna meet the first week of August? Or
We can do the first week of August or even the Tuesday before, because I leave on Wednesday.
Or you're going Wednesday, so you're going both Thursdays?
No, we could do the Tuesday before the 13th.
Okay, meeting rooms are hard to come by on Tuesday nights.
So that's what I'm saying, can we do the Thursday before?
Sure, yeah, no, we could do the Thursday before also.
for a planning board?
Yeah.
So what, meet on Thursday,
What's
what?
the date of that?
That would be August 6th. The only problem with that is I have a couple of special permit applications I know are coming in, and I pushed the deadline as far ahead as I could, so we could do the publications.
How about we do after the 13th?
That would push it to August 20th.
Why don't we just do the 13th, and you wanna send us your thoughts on it, or?
I can, yeah, if you want to send me the packet beforehand, I can.
Do we have anything?
Send along any
Do we
comments.
need, yeah. Well, no, it's not really a package, it's us discussing whether we wanna weigh in on what we wanna do. What we wanna.
Right.
What we wanna suggest to the selectmen. Do we have votes that we need to do on the 13th?
So you'll have a couple new special permit
So
applications.
nothing we need 5 people for.
Well,
Yeah.
that's always up to the applicant.
Well, he can, if it's only one meeting, he can watch it, right?
Let's do it after the 13th.
You mean have the meeting?
Yeah, on the 20th?
Just move it to the 20th.
I don't care. Do you care, Peter?
No, I don't believe it matters presently.
Yeah, but is that too late for the selectmen, though? To,
For Cooper?
for Cooper?
Yeah, I don't know.
All we'd be doing is making a recommendation.
Right, it's a little late to recommend it if they're already gonna take input and vote on it before the
We
20th.
don't even know what we'd be recommending for them to do.
Right, so we would be after, they're not gonna hold their vote waiting for us.
Yeah, but what? It's right of first refusal for them.
That's part of it, yeah.
Well, that's all that the selectmen have
That's all it
in
is.
front of them. Do they waive the right of first refusal? Do they, well, they're starting the conversation. They don't have an official offer. Town council has found that the
Yeah.
form wasn't proper. So they can either waive the right of first refusal, or partially waive it, or decide to bring to probably the May town meeting funding, so questions, so the town would buy,
Okay.
make an offer to purchase.
So why don't we leave it at the 20th then? Why don't we try to do the 20th of August if it's, doesn't sound like it's time sensitive?
I thought the first time they brought it beforehand, that the paperwork wasn't filled out correctly, and then they straightened it out, so it is now correct.
Not, the time frame is not started.
Richard?
So don't we have,
All right, we got anything else, right?
got some information from that anyways, don't we? And hear about that?
Yep, yep, and the information that was provided to the selectmen is posted online.
We brought ourselves up to, where are we now?
Stone Yard.
Yep. We've got a letter submittal from the Stone Yards engineer saying that they're working on updating the site plan, and we'll have an application. They're one of the ones that I expect to come in for the August meeting.
They got a cease and desist?
No, they did not get a cease and desist. They got to please submit a site plan.
Okay.
Has the Conservation Commission been out there again? Since you were out there, didn't you, Rocket?
Conservation and with Roland.
Yep, they're still meeting with Conservation Commission just about every meeting. Trying to work out. It's good.
So we need to go there. We don't need to do it.
That's up to you, but they did say that they would be filing special permit application for the August meeting.
That's good. Yeah. And by that time, will we have any decision from Conservation Commission, do you think?
They've been working with them for many months. I'm not sure it'll happen in the next few weeks or not, but
Okay. We'll have to talk with the Conservation Commission chairman before,
I'll
Right.
talk with Amy.
yeah, before our August meeting.
Yep, I'll do the usual, when I get the application, I'll send it to the other boards and departments for their review. Conservation is one.
Great.
So when are we meeting next? Did we decide that before we move on? Ed
August
can't meet-
13th?
Ed can't meet on the 13th. So do you want to leave it that way, or do you want to push it to another date?
I requested the 20th.
Yeah. Wait.
Make me come back from the cable line.
Let's see.
Why don't we just get it a stamp instead of the Zorro thing?
Yeah. 20th. I'm going to be away that night. And you can't meet on the 13th, Ed?
No.
Can everybody else meet on the 20th?
Well, it doesn't, it's
do we-
no different than leave it the 13th then.
Yeah.
If there's only going to be 4 of us anyway.
No, I won't be here.
You won't be here the
I'm
13th
trying,
either?
trying to tell you, go to the 20th.
All right, we'll go to the 20th then.
All right. The,
We didn't say that.
Mara, does it look like there'll be anything on our agenda that'll need a vote?
Yeah, yeah, I expect a couple special permit applications to be heard that night.
But we'll need the 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who will be included in these special meetings, special permits, what are they for?
I expect an application from the Stoneyard. I might get an application for a temporary cement processing plant at industrial site,
At Sandville?
at an industrial site. No, different, not at Sandville. I might get the
Processing at
a
something.
temporary batching plant, but not at Sandville, but at an industrial site. I might get the 80 Air Road batching plant. You've had several informal discussions with them
Right.
in site plans. They might be ready to come in for August, so those are 3 applications.
Are they out of suit? Are they done?
Yeah, I believe so.
But we're not gonna be able to open and close everything that first night. We're gonna continue them anyway,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, and they can all watch it on, or Richard can watch it on TV and be able to vote on it at the next
Right.
meeting anyway.
Correct, correct. So, which brings the discussion to what do you want to do about the September meeting?
Council it.
What?
I'm away the week of the, let's see, Thursdays in September are 3rd, 10th, 17th, and 24th. I'm gone the 10th and 17th. Somebody else would have to post if we wanted to meet on the 24th. And the 3rd, I just found out that my daughter's graduation from her master's program has been moved to that night. So,
So you're not available for the first 3 nights in September.
there's 3 Thursdays.
Why don't we just take it off then?
We just, no, we just do the last week?
Yeah.
If we have to do stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
well,
So we want 2 weeks now, we'll just want 2 weeks behind, that's, what's the difference?
Well, if we're meeting on the 20th
yeah,
of
that
August,
helps.
then the 10th of, which would be only 2 weeks afterwards, the
Right, so-
24th would be actually 1 month afterwards.
Yeah, so why don't we do it the last week?
Yeah.
You're right.
But you'll need somebody else to post, you said, right?
Right.
We can get maybe Jennifer upstairs to post.
Or Diane will help too.
Yeah, okay. That's what we'll do. The 24th, okay with everybody?
Yeah, that's fine.
Good.
Okay, thanks for your flexibility on that.
And you'll work on the posting, Mary? Yeah, good.
Yeah, that's where I was trying to talk some of the applications and applicants into making the August meeting.
Yeah, yeah.
Didn't know I was gonna throw a wrench in that, did you?
That's the way it goes.
Where do we
Life gets in
stand on the
way.
orchards?
We have 2 new inspection reports, number 11 and 12. I just ask if you don't have any questions, just to vote to accept those.
Richie?
Do we have a motion to accept the inspection reports, 11 and 12 on the orchard?
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Well, were there any issues with the inspection reports?
When I reviewed it, the only thing, there was one catch basin that needed to be mortared.
No open items, nothing from green?
There were- Some of the silt needed to be cleaned out of some of the catch basin fabric and stuff, but
Right, they had, by report number 12, they had followed up on the items on report number 10, the siltation fence and those that,
yeah, those were, he just said that they needed to do some cleaning on the fabric in the catch basins, but I live in that neighborhood, I went through theirs myself, I thought it looked pretty good.
It's good to have them at least look at it before they bury it all.
Yeah.
I have no problem.
So we up to a second?
Second.
We have this motion and a second. Yeah. Discussion over? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it.
and then one question that I got from town administrator was, planning board, you had decided not to appoint anybody to the Magic subregion. He's wondering if you want to open it up for, your representative doesn't have to be one of the board members. If you want to open it up to a member of the Master Plan Steering Committee or anybody else interested in planning that might want to fill in that vacancy.
Oh, that's a great suggestion. So it doesn't have to come from this board then?
Well, you do the appointment, but it doesn't
We
have
don't
to be
have,
one
we
of
don't have to
you.
be
We
one
don't
of
have to physically have one of us
Right.
be a part of that. Anybody have any objection to assigning
Appoint
a,
somebody?
Well,
appointing somebody?
you can, make a schedule and interview and appoint somebody, but,
Isn't he the Chairman?
There are 2 representatives from the town. Keith is one of them. He's appointed by the selectmen, and you have the option of appointing one also.
So why don't we put it in the paper and
Yeah.
see who wants to do it?
Okay, and if it's all right, we'll check with the master plan steering committee members. See if
Sure,
there's
do
anybody
that.
there.
When's our next meeting with that one?
Tuesday night.
Tuesday, yeah.
How are we trying to address that?
We can talk to them on that
Does it
night,
have to be
too.
advertised?
No, you don't have a policy to advertise it.
Okay.
So I recommend we post the opening and on the bulletin board in town, or advertise. What is normally done with something
Well, the
like
planning board
this?
doesn't have a policy on your appointments, so it's up to you.
So,
Good.
Selectmen's policy is to post for 30 days, but I don't know if you want to go through that or not.
Is there a loop?
Yeah, I think that's fair. If they have that policy, we'll stick with that policy.
Okay.
Do we need a motion to vote on this, Mary?
not
No,
post.
once you make the appointment, you want
Sure.
to, but,
Right.
okay, so that works, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Running a little late here.
Right. Want me to read it?
Public hearing, please,
All right.
yeah, Ed?
Public hearing, Water Resource District Special Permit, 550 King Street. The Town of Littleton Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, July 9th, 2015, at 7:10 PM in Room 103 of Town Hall, 37 Shattuck Street, to consider the application for a special permit pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, the Code of Littleton, of Town of Littleton zoning, Aquifer and Water Resource District, Section 173-61 through 173-64. Property location, 550 King Street, Assessor Map U-8, Parcel 10. Property owner and applicant, Wells Ritt, second, 550 King Street LLC. The application is for an Aquifer and Water Resource District special permit to allow a change of proprietorship for an existing use with a water resource district under section 173-62C. Thank you, Peter. Application can be reviewed at the planning board and town clerk's office during their business hours. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on the application should appear at the time and place designated. The town of Littleton does not discriminate on the basis of disability. Further, a signed translation or a hearing will be provided for a hearing impaired upon request by contacting the planning board office at 978-540-2425, 1 week prior to the meeting.
Thank you. Do we have anybody here representing IBM, Lone Star, or Wells? Yes,
Yes, Wells Region. Kevin Brodsky, Lone Star.
great. Very good, thank you. Welcome to Littleton.
Thanks.
You're on deck.
Okay, so we are the current owner of the property and are in the process of transferring the proprietorship, selling the property to Lone Star. We've owned the property for, I guess, a little over 5 years now, and are selling it to my friend Kevin at Lone Star.
And I represent Lesra Ford Turtle LLC with King Street LLC, which is a subsidiary of Lone Star Funds. We're excited about the opportunity to invest in Littleton and to purchase the property. In terms of the operations of the property, at this point, we have no plans to change anything that's currently going on. There's 5+ years left in the lease with IBM, and we look forward to keeping them there for a very long time. And we are assuming the same contract on the water treatment plant that's currently in place. Happy to answer any questions about us or anything like that if I can.
Very good. Does the board have any questions?
Any plans for expansion or?
Nothing at this time. We're happy to, consider anything for coming things, but nothing at this time.
We have an application for I guess, some changes to the emergency generator
That's next hearing.
That'll be next, so,
Yep.
okay.
We're okay with that. If you-
Any other questions from the board?
So as a long-term plan, you guys want to hold it beyond the 5-year lease currently, that's your plan?
Ideally, we would like to hopefully get that lease extended significantly. The time will tell, but that's the
Are
plan.
you guys public or private?
Private.
How was your record in interacting with the community?
I think very good.
We're a very active community that looks towards all businesses that are in our town to become a part of the town, part of the community.
We look forward to becoming a positive part of the community.
Yes.
Could you speak to any projects you've done in other towns, cities?
We own, over 2,500 pieces of real estate across, the country. We're actually a global fund. I work for our Americas office. Generally, our goal is we buy anywhere from distressed property to something up, and our goal is to value add, increase the properties. We have no problem putting money into the properties. We're not a developer. We don't really have a development arm, but we're happy to spend, any necessary CapEx items. We owe our fiduciary duty to our investors to ensure there's no violations and good relationships with municipalities.
I have one. Any interest in helping us fund soccer field on turf?
Beyond my ability to comment on it.
We're always looking for another soccer field, I'm sure, like every other community in the country.
I love soccer.
Will you guys have a presence here in the building or in the state?
We actually just purchased the 1 and 4 Robbins Road properties not too far away. And in 2011, we bought the remaining portion of the Anglo-Irish Bank debt. So we did have some presence in Boston.
Very good, so you'll maintain that presence in New England? Or in Massachusetts?
Yeah, we intend to, we're buying the building with an intent to hold and hopefully expand these.
That's terrific.
I have no issues.
I don't have any issues.
Well,
Let's move on.
so
Time.
we have a motion, let's see,
Motion to close the hearing?
yeah, a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it.
Welcome to Littleton.
Great.
So you have a draft decision, draft special permit? And the attorney that reviewed it for the buyer found 2 different typos that I will correct.
All right, so everybody has a copy of the special permit for change of proprietorship for the property in the Water Resource District, 550 King Street.
It's basically the same as what's in place now, we're just putting Lone Star in as the owner.
Yeah,
Change of pride.
Probably,
right. And then the special permit gets recorded, so that's the record, so people know to look back to the prior special permits.
Very good. We have 6 findings here. One names the owner. One acknowledges that it's in the Water Resource District. One acknowledges that the purchase and sale. The other acknowledges that the transaction does not change any uses of the property, that the buyer does not propose any changes to the use of the property, and that it fits within the zoning. So I'd entertain a motion to approve the special permit, the change of proprietorship special permit.
so moved.
Do we have a second? Good. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Welcome to Littleton.
Sir?
Again.
I'll try to file that decision by early next week.
Okay.
and go from there.
Great.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Great. And he'll still be hitting you up for that soccer field. Park and Rec. All right, thank you both. Yep.
Did we do the tanks? Was that the?
That's the next one.
Do you guys want to stay for the tanks?
Sure.
Might as well. In case we have a question.
Fuel storage. Ed?
Public hearing for the Water Resource District Special Permit Fuel Storage at 550 King Street. The Town of Littleton Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, July 9th, 2015, at 7:20 PM in Room 103 of Town Hall, 37 Shattuck Street, to consider the application for a special permit pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 48, in the Code of the Town of Littleton zoning Aquifer and Water Resource District, Section 173-61 through 173-64. Property location, 550 King Street, Assessors Map, U-8, Parcel 10, applicant IBM Corp. The application is for an Aquifer and Water Resource District special permit to allow an increase in above-ground fuel storage for emergency backup generators on-site within the Water Resource District. Application and plans can be viewed at the Planning Board and Town Clerk's office during their business hours. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on the application should appear at the time and place designated. The Town of Littleton does not discriminate on the basis of disability.
It seems you must be here for 550 King Street. Your name?
Yes. My name is Bill Tabor. I'm a professional engineer with Vanessa Hagen Bruslin at 101 Walnut Street in Watertown.
Very good.
I'm here to present IBM for this project.
You want to give us an overview?
Yes, I can bring on the board if you'd like, or we can just talk through. Basically, what they're doing is they have a 2,500-gallon diesel fuel tank presently sitting next to their generator behind Building B. And what they're looking to do is remove that tank and replace it with a 4,000-gallon diesel fuel tank to feed the generator, and add a second 400-gallon tank to feed the emergency pump for the fire suppression system. In the process, they're going to install two 400 and two 275-gallon tanks while they're replacing the tanks that are existing. So they'll actually, during construction, be a little bit less than what they have today, and when they're done, we'll have an additional approximately 1,900 gallons of diesel fuel stored on site, all in above-ground tanks.
Additional.
Additional. So you're going from a 2,500-gallon
4,000.
above-ground tank to a 4,000, which adds 1,500, and then they're adding a 400-gallon tank to put it up to 1,900 gallons, and that will be for the fire suppression pump.
What, how
Go ahead.
large is this fire suppression pump?
That I don't know if, I want something from the construction company. Do you know what the size of the pump is for the fire suppression system for the new tank?
How many gallons a minute can it put out?
Approximately 11.
11 gallons per minute?
Per hour, sorry.
Something's wrong there.
That sounds
On
low.
the fuel side, or?
No, on the water side.
Oh, I'm not aware of the.
All right, tell me the fuel size then again.
It's
about
11.
gallons per hour. the
11
consumption of
gallons
fuel.
an hour.
Right. That's how much
Push
the
the motor,
pump,
so-
the motor consumes.
Huh?
It'll get over 24 hours, that's what they need to get to.
That's for the fire pump.
For the fire pump.
Yeah.
This is the 400-gallon tank feeds the fire pump.
For the
fire pump
sprinkler systems.
Yes.
That's right.
In the building.
Why the increase from 2,000 to 4,000 for the regular backup?
Basically, they're looking for more time. I don't have the exact fuel consumption unless you have that for the generator.
They have three, this tank will fit an additional 3 generators for backup data. And the goal is to be able to have the capacity to run without, on generators for approximately 72 hours. The existing setup would allow them to run for approximately, I believe is 42 hours or so. So they would like to accomplish that 72-hour time.
Add another 30 hours of run time to their system.
To protect their system.
Correct.
Now, these would be double wall tanked.
Yes, these are all above-ground double-wall tanks. In your package, you'll see that one is, the 4,000-gallon tank is a regular shop-built double-wall tank. And then the smaller 400-gallon is what's called, I don't know if you're familiar with the Roth tanks.
Very, yeah.
I love those things. I have a lot of clients that use them. And for the smaller tanks, those things, they're basically a galvanized steel outer tank with a poly inner tank. They stand up very well.
Now, will these be, this equipment be protected from the weather in any way?
No, both of them will be outside. And in both cases, the 4,000-gallon tank is designed as an outside tank for diesel fuel storage. And the Roth tank, in this particular case, will have the roof on it. It's all galvanized steel on the outside. Like I said, the inner tank is poly, but it'll have the, if you take a look at the picture for it in there, it'll show you that they put a roof on it, so it's for outdoor use.
Very good. Is there, have you checked with Light and Water?
Yeah, I sent the special permit application to all the other boards and departments. Fire department came back, they were fine with it, and they will inspect the installation. Light and water were fine.
Right, we've basically been working with the fire department, to pull the installation permits and the rest of that. We'll also have to pull a permit to store from them once we're complete.
Sure.
So they'll be doing all the inspections, and they're up to date with everything that's happening at the site.
Very good. Any questions? Any other questions from the board?
You don't use diesel now, you use gas, right?
No,
This
no,
is
no.
just backup.
The building, I believe, is heated by gas, but all of the emergency generators are diesel. So our backup power was diesel and is remaining now.
So it's purely for backup?
Right, we're not running the facility on it, just for emergency backup power.
Is there a containment system around the existing tank?
Yes, all the existing tanks are double-walled. As a matter of fact, the 2500 has a dike and a roof over it, and then has a
I mean,
single-wall tank inside.
Crazy thing is, I worked in Houston many years ago, and we built a wall around the entire refinery.
Right.
And sometimes we have storage inside buildings, we make them build a containment wall around that in case it leaks and it can't spread across the entire floor and get outside. I didn't see one on this. Is there a retaining wall around the existing, or to the new structure?
There
The new
is not a
4,000
retaining
gallons?
wall existing, well, I should
Nor
say, it's a
impervious
single-wall
floor?
tank inside a concrete dike with a metal roof over the top. Is the existing tank. The new tank is a double wall, so both walls are steel. And then the 400 would be outer steel wall with an inner poly wall.
But I'm saying, let's assume somebody decides they want to have fun from 495 and put a hole in one of them. What stops it from running down into the aquifer?
You know, you've got the same problem even with a masonry wall, depending on the power of the rifle. If you start shooting at it, you're
No,
gonna put a hole in it.
What
I'm
I'm
sorry,
trying
but.
Yeah, no, I
Can't
know.
help
It's-
that.
Again, what I'm trying to say is that if that thing leaks, it just goes right down into the ground,
Well,
correct?
no, what you have to understand, it's a double wall tank.
I know, but if both walls...
But if you
leak,
go
you
through
have
both
failure.
walls, initially, depending on where you hit, the wall, when you burst the inner wall, it's gonna drain in between the walls at that point, until it gets up high enough to go through the second
Yeah.
wall.
Peter, we don't have any additional requirements in other emergency generators that are in the aquifer.
The
Just a
tanks
double
have to-
wall.
The tanks have to have 110% capacity, meaning the outer wall has to be able
compare.
to store 110% of what's inside of it. So what he's trying to
And-
say is, if you punctured it, there is overflow capacity to store whatever leaks out of it.
Right, so,
Providing the hole isn't at the bottom of the
Right,
exterior of your
right.
tank.
exactly, and there's not much I can do about that.
Yeah, the tank is made with a 7-gauge steel on the inside, and then
these are-
10-gauge steel on the outside with a sensor that's placed at the lowest point of the
So there's
secondary
an
containment.
alarm.
Sensor inside.
So if there was ever to spill into the secondary containment, let's say 20 years from now, then it's still going to be contained in the secondary containment. That is inspected every year to make sure the sensor is working properly. So everything is thought out, overfill prevention. A swell tank can only hold 90% of the capacity of the fuel, and there are 3 methods of preventing another company from overfilling the tank. So, and then same thing with all the piping is double wall, and all the piping contains sensors which will be automatically activate an alarm into the building and send a signal to the person on call.
So basically, their spill plan includes weekly and monthly and yearly inspections and testing of equipment. Plus, you have a sensor in there
And that's part of our,
It's state of the art. The old
Yeah.
days was to build a tank and then put a wall around it. The interstitial
interstitial monitor.
has a monitor inside of it and the whole, but that's where all the gas tanks and everything, we've been asking them to upgrade to those kind of systems over the
Yeah.
past 8 or 10 years.
okay, good, thank you.
Great. Any other questions from the board?
I'm good.
All right. Any questions from the public? Hearing none. I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Now, I'll entertain a motion to approve the special permit.
So moved.
We have a
Second.
second. Is there any discussion on the second permit?
To the conditions that we already have in here?
Those are the existing conditions that are for the site, and we've maintained them.
In accordance with the existing conditions, Rich?
In accordance with the existing conditions.
I'll agree with that.
So do we have a motion and a second? Any discussion? Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it.
Great. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
gentlemen.
Thank you. Good night, gentlemen.
Now you can go.
Pleasure to meet you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Did a great job explaining.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you all.
You guys are lucky, she's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
They didn't even have to pay him to say that.
I saw you slip in the 20.
I understand you can actually put a gas station in an aquifer now, if it's done right.
The question is whether we want one there.
Right.
I'd say,
People don't want it. We're not real keen on that.
All right.
Put the gas station open. As long as I've been there.
Continued public hearing, 547 Great Road, Soaring Hawk Mediation Center. Setback special permit, Water Resource District special permit, and site plan modification.
New plans and new, there's up to you and then Bill with the extras for that.
Good. Well, it looks like we have Bruce on deck tonight.
God, I got heartburn.
Always do.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you back.
Extras if you want to share.
You'll give us an updated description of what they're going to do? Great.
Reader's Digest version, right?
Reader's Digest version. First, with me here this evening is Bill Filiotis, and he's also representing Soaring Hawk. I'm going to try to get out of the way so I'm not blocking anybody's view. All right, you're all set. So, when I did the first presentation here, our presentation was very much about special permits that we were asking for and the engineering and zoning issues behind that we were dealing with. There was a lot of opposition, as we heard, from the abutters. When we went forward to the ZBA meeting to have the initial hearing relative to the use, prior to that meeting, the applicant modified the site plan from the standpoint of dramatically reducing what she wishes to have happen on the site, from the standpoint of trying to address the concerns of the abutters. At the same time, I learned a lot more about some of the various different uses, and we'll get into that briefly in a little bit. The Reader's Digest version for Mark is basically we've gone from 180 to 120 when we came before you at the hearing, and for the largest event, and dropped that event sizing down to 100. We've also removed the tent and the request for an outside tent and the tent area outside. We've reduced the size of that outside area, lawn area, and garden down to more for the meditation purposes and for photography purposes and things that would go along with an outdoor, with a wedding event if they wanted to have photos taken outside or if they wanted to mingle in the space, but not a tent space. Still with the guidelines for the acoustic music, on the site. If any music is outside at all, it would be acoustic, and inside music would have the ability of being within walled areas and the AC. Attached to the letter was the Soaring Hawk Meditation Center celebration of mindfulness in our house guidelines. And if we roll down through that versus the previous one, mindful workshops were at like 75 people, now they're at 35 people. The contra dance was up at a larger number, classes were a larger number, they're down to 25. The contra dance and open mic are at a max of 50 people. Function rentals have dropped down to 50 to 70 people. Weddings are limited to less than 100 people, 100 seats as listed here. And again, you have to look at the timing on the outlines here, because the weddings thing is something that typically will happen if it happens between May and October. Contra dance classes, we're talking 6 to 24 year. The contra dance and open mic, we're talking 12 to 24 years. This isn't something that happens every week. Now, just real briefly on the contra dance thing, the way this contra dance piece came about is the owner of the property attended a contra dance and was dumbfounded of the extent of skill that you have to have if you go to a place such as Concord Carlisle, Carlisle's dance, or a couple others. So she wanted a place where people could learn and also where kids could learn, and people with special needs. She has a child with special needs, and once her child has learned those things, it's been a big thing for boosting their confidence. The same as with the open mic. The open mic is a thing for allowing folks to come in and be able to perform in front of others, to have a situation. This is not an open mic, as it's been said before, as a karaoke. This is an open mic where you get to come and perform before a few people. They'd be lucky if they have, 25 people there for an open mic thing, and it's rotating people through. Much of it's acoustic. It's, again, her son is very musically gifted, and at these open mic nights where it's been nothing served but water, occasionally an ice cream social at the end of them, not an alcohol thing, it's really helped him with his confidence and his ability to open up in different things. And so that's the kind of thing that she's looking for. It's something for the community, adding another place to allow for these things to happen, classes for this to happen. It's not a karaoke night, it's not anything else. And we've offered up a series of suggestions for conditions relative to the use permit with the Zoning Board of Appeal to try to address some of that issue. And then it goes on down through the health issues on there as well. But back to the changes, with the reduction of the numbers to a 100, and sticking with the, okay, if it's 1 seat per 4, that's 25 spaces. We have had 30 spaces on the plan. What we've done in this plan that we brought in this evening is we've added 10 more spaces. And we've added them as quote-unquote seasonal lawn spaces, a grass overflow. And we want to use a grass paver 2. It's a and have a little cut sheet, and I've added a detail in the back. But essentially, it's a plastic mat that's rolled out that has rigid plastic rings within it. The grass grows, you can put down sod over the top of it, or a woman seed over the top of it, and within 2 mowings, you're allowed to park over the top of it. It is very permeable. We have it right up to the edge of our infiltration basin. There's a dashed line on the plan here that's just off the edge of the parking. That's where water storage comes up to in the infiltration basin area, so it doesn't come into the parking area. But it would sit right in there, and it would allow for this to allow for 10 more spaces. That's not parking on Old Great Road. It's not asking for that. So that gives enough spaces for, there's been discussion about staff that comes in. Most of the caterers that we've talked to, they carpool and come in, but we're opening up, basically adding in, so we have 40 spaces for a 100-person seat on site for those functions. It's not something that we would intend to plow in the winter, although they can be plowed. It's part of the literature for them, but not something that we have proposed because we don't have the large events proposed during the winter months. And that would be here. What we do have with the 30 spaces and the other events that we have parking on site that handles all that, and we feel very comfortable with that. Again, we're trying to keep the amount of disturbance on the site limited. We can make this, we could pave it and meet all of the requirements and have more impervious area, but it's not the goal of the applicant. The applicant wants this thing to be something that fits into the neighborhood, wants it to be what the neighbors were excited about initially and feels it still can be, something along those lines. So we've addressed that. We've had a sidewalk going towards the abutting property for parking. We've removed that. We're not going to be looking towards enlarging the facility in the future. We've added also to you this evening a architectural sheet, the A1 architectural sheet. It's in the packet that you have before you. And real briefly, this is the previous part one, and it had 3 women's toilets, 2 men's toilets, and a urinal. And now what we have is 1 men's toilet and a urinal and 2 women's toilets. Those have been reduced down to the numbers that are required for 100-person occupancy in an assembly situation. So we're not looking to expand the facility. We're putting in the number of bathroom facilities that would be there for a 100-person facility. We're setting architectural and interior as well as exterior limitations on ourselves. Our client is self-imposing those because this is not something that they're looking to be as a major function hall or major function place. This is trying to express how much she's willing to, and she's made a lot of changes here along the line to address that. On the lead page of the package that you have, we've reduced the labeling up on top where we had it as a max of 180 before. It's now down to a max of 100. We've modified the septic flow. The septic flow now falls right in line once we have our composting special permits in place from the state and the local board of health to being below the 6 gallons per 1,000 square feet flow, but assuming that they're not there, we're still asking for that special permit through the Board of Health. I don't believe it's necessary here, but it's in our application, so I'd like to move forward with it. If you run it at the septic flow at 15 gallons per seat for a function, at 100, that's 1,500. The state gives you a 50% reduction in your septic design flow when you use composting toilets. I'm mostly thinking along the lines of homes, where you still have showers and washing machines and dishwashers, so you have a lot of additional gray water that's going on. The only gray water that's going on is the 1 sink in the bathroom, the 1 sink in both bathrooms, and a small sink in the kitchenette area. There's no real gray water. They'll be lucky if they use 1/100th of the septic system from a gray water standpoint. So we've modified that. We've modified the parking chart by adding the spaces, and we've listed the seasonal spaces on there. Again, we've modified the site plan to address the additional parking. We've also added a labyrinth. A labyrinth is, if you're not familiar, this meditation piece within the lawn. It's going to have stones laid into the grass that define the path. The path is grass, so it's a totally permeable function within the lawn, but we've added it so that you see what it is and where it's at. We've modified, we also modified, since we're doing those modifications, we modified the driveway so that it's 16 feet wide the whole way in instead of the reduction to 12 per our discussions with the fire department and Keith Dunn's letter, and the 2-foot shoulders on either side, so you have a 20-foot wide path. And that node has been changed from variable on the detail to 16 feet wide, plus the 2 shoulders. On sheet 5 of 5, we've added in the grass paved 2 detail, showing how that works on the site. So those, in a nutshell, are the changes that we've made to the property and to the site plan. Again, trying to address the concerns of the abutters and the concerns that the planning board had relative to parking. I guess that's the Reader's Digest version. I turned over to any questions you might have.
Very good. Any questions from the board?
I do. The 10 additional spaces that you're proposing with the plastic grid, I see it's near the infiltration basin.
Correct.
Would it, and this is just a question for an engineer to answer, would it make sense to turn the parking the other side and have the cars facing? Most people pull in, vehicles do leak fuel, oil, and other things, so my thought was to maybe turn the parking to face the other direction and get it away from the infiltration basin, or is there any other way to protect the ground from oil spills or fuel spills from vehicles?
We could do that. It's within the grass area, and this whole grass space is an infiltration area, and it's, with vegetation that's there, if you have, minor drips or something, it's within the vegetation, so you're gonna have the breakdown of hydrocarbons through the vegetation, and that's what you put in your wetlands. When you have stuff go into the wetland areas, you get a lot of uptake through the vegetation. So we could flip-flop it if you felt that that was an issue or concern. We were looking at it from the standpoint of coming right off the edge of the existing pavement at the end of Old Great Road and coming in and just turning in. Again, we think it's going to get very limited use, so.
Any other questions? Anybody on the board?
Where are we at with the 8 pages of concerns Green had? Is that
That wasn't this project.
different one? What? Different project. Well, what, are we all set with Green?
Right, Green did not review this one.
Oh, that's right.
You had the Water Department review the earlier versions of it. These plans came in today.
Right.
And Water Department was fine with our drainage, felt that it met everything.
No, I guess the only concern I have with it is they get that close to the wells. Why we, where water is important to the town of Littleton, the purity of it, why are we going with, we don't allow pervious pavers anywhere as for parking for vehicles that are gonna be, why all of a sudden should we put a rolled-out parking lot temporarily out there when the first and foremost, we gotta be protecting the water supply in the town of Littleton. If you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing, and it should be monitoring there, why can't we have a parking lot there? Why can't we?
We can. We've offered, as I said, we have more than enough space to make it a paved parking lot. We feel that, and if you want to have it paved, I would rather add in the paving up in through here and in here, just like this area is paved, and add the additional spaces up above and keep the area below. As I said, we're trying to keep the site with as limited amount of change as possible from the standpoint of impervious surfaces, from the standpoint of pavement. It's an area that's going to have limited use and limited need for these parking. The cars that are going to be parking there, it's not like it's a daily thing. If you're going to have cars on there, it's going to be on a Saturday for 4 hours during a wedding event.
It's kind of nitpicky, isn't it?
I mean,
Are
okay,
you serious?
We don't allow parking on anything on the
No,
pavement.
I can see where Mark's going with this.
you have that.
You know
It's,
how much spillage you'd have to impact the water table?
yeah, but all you need is
One.
one. All you need is one.
Okay,
I see Mark's point, and I tend to agree with
So
him.
you'd rather have them pave it, put a basin in, discharge it?
Move it out with the rest of the paving, and move the parking out with the rest of the
We do it for
parking.
everybody else.
Yeah.
The problem is once you start creating precedent that you don't have,
Yeah.
our bylaws, it has to be impervious.
Yeah.
well, we have them, you have
Still, I mean-
pavers for other places in town. They're at the high school for emergency access, they're in different locations. I'm proposing it as, I think that this is a solution that addresses a very limited time, 4 hours a week, 4 hours, 24 times a year if she's lucky. If she fills up all of the rental spaces, all of the units, I think it's a pretty minimal amount of area there.
All I'm saying is our bylaw says that any
I
parking
know,
lot over
it
7
also
has
allows
to
for the
be.
change in an alteration from
think-
that. It does.
We've never waived it, especially the wells are 500 feet from here.
But
Okay, so here in this particular situation, the wells are way more than 500 feet because the 500-foot radius is all the way down here in the back of Dover Salvery, and the 400-foot radius stops in the back of that. This building is outside of that, and we're double that. So this is about 1,200 to 1,500 feet away. There are multiple monitoring wells between here and that location.
Look, it's very, very simple. Mark's made a point. Does anybody else agree with Mark's
Excuse me, I
point?
have one more piece I'd like to add to it, Richard. And that is that in the situation here, we are meeting what the zoning bylaw asks for relative to the parking. With 100 spaces on here, for 100 seats, under that, we need 25 spaces, and we have 5 spaces for the quote-unquote staff, which we believe there'll be less than 5 people there for the staff. We're adding another 10, because the board feels there's a need for additional parking. So we're not asking for a waiver from not meeting the requirements of the parking. We're asking for, the board felt there's a need for additional parking, where we've lowered the numbers of the people and the seats and the capacity of the site, plus added in additional parking that we feel is not going to be used. So we'd like it to be grass with proper controls underneath, with the proper retention of a vegetative infiltration basin that will allow for uptake of hydrocarbons and allow for the space to work without having a negative impact by making more black asphalt on the property. So it's not a relief of the zoning, it's asking.
Jerry, go ahead.
It's a solid plan. He's well within his requirements. He's got more than enough parking for the requirement. His impervious is fine. I mean, his uses are scaled down. There's no tent outside. I mean, everything we talked about, he's met the requirement. I mean, I don't see problems.
Good. Ed?
I tend to agree with Jerry as far as it's a solid plan. I think the revisions are excellent. Again, my only thought was turning the parking around just to see if we could protect the infiltration system a little. Other than that, the tent being gone, I think is huge. So,
Jerry, there's a 40-inch maple right here.
yeah.
So what we could do, as discussed, or as you suggested, was pull the drive down in through here and park up to this side. Would probably drop to about 8 spaces if we did that, because we would lose as the radius came in off of here, because I don't want to extend
Right.
the dead-end drive of Old Great Road. I have been in discussion with, or closer discussions with the folks at the state, but I not going down that road, don't want to go down that road. So there's this large 40-inch maple that we're trying to protect and keep waving.
Peter?
I have no issues.
Good. Then I'm going to go along with Jerry and Ed this time. I see Mark's point. I think that based on what we have here, it's a good, solid plan. Any discussion, any comment from the audience?
Just a couple of questions. Steve Reedy, 4 Beaverbrook Road. So what are you voting on tonight? The impervious percentage that he is asking for and the buffer zone? Are those the two
We're going to
things?
vote to close the public hearing, and then we're going to vote on the application.
And the application, the two things he's asking for is the impervious land from 15 to 16%. Is that what it is, Bruce?
From the existing,
So you've got three votes, Water Resource District special permit, the site plan, and you've got the setback special permit. I do have drafts of those if you close the hearing tonight.
But what that means to you is we're going to either approve or disapprove it.
Right, that's what I'm
That's what you're asking, yeah.
Which I'm asking specifically, what are the three things? Because, when we talked
Three
about
parameters.
the use change, that's the ZBA, so that's a totally different meeting.
Yeah.
So really, the only thing you're voting on tonight is the impervious, the water thing that he had, and it sounded like he drew it back anyways. And then the buffer zone, is that correct?
As long as he meets requirements of the special permits, right?
And I think you can characterize it as you this board looks at the changes that are proposed on the ground, not the use.
There was one, before we close, there was on the first page, you have it all outdoor must to 8 PM. I assume that's part of your, and then further back, you have it at 10 PM for some of the open. The very front page, it says, all receptions would be held inside within the air-conditioning remodeled structure. As stated previously, all outdoor music would be non-amplified, and we would limit any outdoor must to 8 PM.
Outdoor music, yeah. Sorry,
Right.
pardon me.
Okay, to 8 PM.
Yes, that's correct.
Then, the second thing, showing Park Mediation Center, has Contra Dance Open Mic, Friday, 7:30 to 10:30, less than 50 people. Function Rentals, Fridays, 5 to 10, 50 to 70 people. So you have a, and
Those would be inside. If there's any music in that, it'd be inside. So if you wanted
there will be
to
no
have-
dancing outside,
That's correct.
no music
That's
outside,
correct.
ever.
After 8 o'clock, and any music outside would be chamber music, jazz music. If you wanted.
What do you, any music outside would be?
No amplified music and no music at all after 8. If you wanted to have a wedding in the afternoon and you wanted to have cocktails on the deck or in the yard and have violin and
Just 8 o'clock is done.
8 o'clock is done.
That's all I wanted to
And
hear.
unamplified, and amplified, no amplification.
You get that correct.
Any other questions from the audience? Your name, please?
Justine Stevens, 17 Old Great Road. The last meeting I attended was the CBA, and I said, on the weddings, it says Saturdays, 8 hours. Okay, 8 hours can be 7 PM to 2 AM. And I requested to find out what are the real hours. I'm sure Attorney Gould can verify I made this. And yet I see no, where are the hours? Are they still 7 PM to 8 AM?
We have, Bruce?
We put together in the letter that we sent to the ZBA, I believe talked about 11 PM as a final hour for a function of any kind going on. Gia Gagnon, the proprietor, the owner of the property, will be at these functions. She's not hiring somebody to manage them, she's gonna be at these functions, she doesn't wanna be there all night. We have told the zoning board of appeals that we are totally online with part of the use of having a limitation at some earlier hour. The 8 hours means you have the ability of getting there early and setting up, and because you're renting the space for the day, there's no other functions that are going to happen. You have the place for the day. You can set up have your flowers come in and set up, do whatever your drill is. The typical wedding thing is like a 4 or 5 hour event, from ceremony to people getting out of there. That's the setup. There's no intent to going late. If this board wants to put a special permit on, I don't know if the special permit can control hours under here. I know it can under the ZBA. There's no desire to go late.
So as a point of order, are we voting on this schedule, or are we voting on, does it mean the site plan? I mean, if the ZBA is voting on this, why are we talking about it?
In the special permit process, you have a little more leeway to add conditions if you feel they're necessary. For example, at CVS site, you did limit the hours of operation on that under the Water Resource District special permit.
So we can add those conditions, is that something we want to do in light of what, should we coordinate with the ZBA?
We could certainly entertain that. Yeah.
I think we could add limitations if we felt necessary. And then
So we would just propose our limitations now, see if they agree with them, and then wad them to a decision?
If it's a special permit and we put the conditions on,
That's
special
then they're
permit will be
conditions.
subject to the
Right.
special.
No, I understand that, I'm saying, do it, but the ZBA hasn't even voted on whether or not those uses are done yet.
But
But they don't have to, we
Yeah.
can set the standard, and then the ZBA can agree to it, but they're gonna set
Right,
the
but they're in front of
usability.
the ZBA for a variance, not us,
Right.
No, we're not from variance, we're from for a special permit,
for a use.
for use.
Yeah.
We can set the
If,
conditions, though.
We could say, like we did at CVS, we could say 10 o'clock.
They pulled everything inside of that buffer zone from Beaver Brook Road, so the tent is not outside the buffer zone. Everything is now, right,
There's no
there's no tent.
No tent.
So we
But
need to
all
come up with-
operations are now
We have a yard area, we have a modification to the building right
All
here
right.
that is inside the
Good.
150-foot
We're-
setback from the road and 150-foot
All right.
setback from the road.
It's inside.
Focused.
Any other,
Let's get focused. With some-
any other comments from the audience?
We want
It's
to hear
all,
more from
in-
the audience.
all their operations not,
The
short of it.
operations are inside, but there's alteration to the building and the addition of the deck and addition of this little piece right here that are in front of that 150-foot area, but they're behind the building so you can't see what it is. It's, i.e. the alcove is expanded, this
Right.
part of the shed is removed.
Okay.
Moving
Next-
forward.
Next, your name again, please?
Justine Stebbins, 17 Old Gray Road. Do you want me to list all my questions or just go on one by one? It is
Are these
open
questions that apply to the use? Because
Yes.
we're not
Well-
talking about the use of the building, we're talking about the site.
here. Okay, this
footprint.
could be the site question then,
So
or at least.
specifically to the site.
Okay, you've already voted on this once, and that was before these expanded, things came by. It was on a setback. And what I wanted to know was, looking at the map, they talk about limit natural heritage and endangered species program. Can one of the board members explain that to me, what that?
Bruce will do the
Well, wait a minute, is that a conflict of interest? He's going to explain it.
I'd be happy to. It means
Thank
that
you.
the applicant will have to file with Natural Heritage for a determination whether there's a take or a no take. It's a state permitting process.
So
So that doesn't involve this board?
So
It's a state permit?
It's a state permit regarding the endangered species, is that
Exactly.
right? Got it. Okay. The other thing is, again, I don't know if this goes to you or do you use, but the doors are going to be kept closed during the functions because, in other words, you can say it's all going to be moved indoors, but if you keep the doors open, guess what? It's wedding band music till whatever time you guys decide.
Let's hear from Bruce.
I pointed out, I think in this application, modification letter, as well as in the ZBA letter, and I don't have the exact section on top of my head right now, but within the Littleton zoning bylaw, you have noise levels requirements, and therefore the IA district and the residential district. And in a situation such as this, where we abut that right here at the property line, the noise levels have to meet the residential levels. And we intend to meet that. If we have nice mellow music going on and it's a warm, comfortable night that they're not running AC and they want to have a door open, I don't see there's a need to limit them as long as our noise levels are lower than what they are. If there is an issue or there's a complaint, we'll close the doors. I mean, Gia wants to be a good neighbor. She has done everything she can to downsize this thing to show that she wants to be a good neighbor. We're trying.
Okay, one more question, please.
One more. I have a couple more. That part of this is that, we're relying on her good neighborliness. My husband's an ER physician. It's in the community's best interest that he gets sleep. And he's the closest ER doc, so when they need help, we get the call. So it's in every one of your interests that he gets sleep as well.
What time do you want to shut down by?
I think all the neighbors should, it shouldn't just be me, I think all the neighbors should have input into that.
No, pick a time, like, what do you want, 10, 8? I mean, we can put it on the condition right here.
I'd say 8 o'clock. And I say that because Mary Burrell, 15 Old Gray Road, you have a neighborhood that's been, has had a lot of people who are in their 50s plus. And in the last couple of years, we've had the good fortune of having young families move in with kids, keeps the neighborhood vibrant. And I think it's good for the neighborhood. And I think you should respect the fact that you've got a good blended neighborhood of peaceful, law-abiding families that will be good neighbors as long as our new neighbor moving in abides by the stipulations that are set.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
Parking, I need to have parking questions. Is that okay?
That's an appropriate question, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, now, from what I understood, it's going to be 40 parking spaces, that's correct, right?
Yeah.
So the 5 staff parking spaces are in that 40, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and the 5 staff parking...
6.
Six staff parking spaces. Okay, that's going to handle all the catering trucks, all the florist trucks, all the musicians' cars. and then you're gonna have 100 people, okay? So, are we back to like we're gonna commute to the wedding in 4 people to a car?
No, I mean, he's got the requirements here.
He fits,
You see a copy of this?
he fits within the rules in terms of his parking.
She's right, 4 people to a car.
That's right, that's the requirement.
So,
Yeah.
and you think that's appropriate, 4 people?
That's the requirement. That's what the bylaws are.
Yeah.
Special permit.
Okay.
But we have more spaces than that. If that was the case, then I'm right, I have met at 30, I've added 10 more spaces, so I allow for people to come in deuces if they
All right,
wish.
we're running late. Any more questions that are absolutely pertinent to the site?
Just relative to
Ask
the,
that a dozen more times, you're gonna get a dozen more answers. You need to think of something.
just relative to the time, 8 o'clock is in my mind much too early of an hour. This is an industrial district, it is industrial zone, there's businesses right next door that are industrial that run much later than that. We would be very happy with, a 10 o'clock shutdown,
10 o'clock.
11 o'clock out,
I think at 10 o'clock done and gone by 10 would be fair assessment, to be honest with you. You shut the doors at 10.
You're gonna, if you're shutting down at 10,
Yeah.
you're gonna have some dribble time to get out. You've gotta clean up the place and do stuff, so I need at least an 11 o'clock out.
Well, you said function ends by 10, clean
Yes.
up by 11.
Yes.
Music stops at 10, no more liquor served.
That's correct.
and it's-
Okay, any more questions from the board?
You asked if there were questions, and I raised my hand. Should the ZBA vote on this before you do? Because
No, no. Their decision has nothing to do with ours.
Well, I'm not so sure about that.
It does, because we do not have jurisdiction over
So
what they
argue
do.
When I go to the ZBA, they tell me that the density of the parking and all that's got to do with you. And then you guys keep punting it back and forth to each other, so.
Sir, we're site. We're site, that's the part that we're.
Okay, so when I go to the ZBA meeting the next ZBA meeting, they're not gonna tell me, well, the parking is not our issue. When we go to them and we talk about this use is too dense for this property, they go, oh no, the planning board said it's okay. That's not accurate, or it is accurate?
We control parking according to a specific set of rules, and these people meet those rules. We're going to move to close the hearing.
So moved.
Seconded.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion from the board members? All right.
Stop asking that.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Hearing's closed.
Yes,
We have a first special permit, Water Resource District Special Permit.
We can figure out what conditions we're at, maybe.
Yeah, we should have some discussion on because we want to put it on the water resource one. That's where we want to add the conditions.
We could add them in this one.
Mark, do you have any suggestions?
Oh, sorry. I think you should ask Maren what the standard boilerplate is for aquifer water resource.
They're in there.
Does it say no sodium de-icing in there?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, but
And it's got the standard monitoring clause, that if the water department feels it's necessary to add wells, then they'll be added and monitored.
so we'll need to add a couple of rows.
And fire department, it has a fire department hazardous, it has the lighting bylaws, it has the drainage, and that it's,
Right.
that it needs to be filed with the registry of deeds.
Right, but outside of the boilerplate, what are we adding in there, like hours of operation? We gotta add all that stuff in.
Right.
If the board chooses to add in hours of operation, this is the place to do it. I'd entertain a motion to,
Well, what are we agreeing on, 10 o'clock?
10 for shutdown, 11 o'clock.
All entertainment activity ends by 10?
with an out by 11.
Out meaning what? Out.
Clean up and close
Clean up and
down.
close, clean up and close, so lights out, doors locked, 11 o'clock.
Did the board have any issue with that?
That sounds, though I like the 9 o'clock, it's actually reasonable, seeing as how they're following everything else and they fall within the footprint of what's necessary
What
here.
about noise monitoring? Want any noise monitoring?
They have to
That-
maintain.
Well, if they get any
have to-
complaints, it's monitored right at the street where Mr.
Right. If there's a complaint, I believe the building inspector can go out,
Have him
You know-
monitor.
Monitor?
install a monitor. He has one in.
He has one.
He has one.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
And then if it's,
Sodium gonna kill your grass for your parking lot.
Not putting sodium on the parking lot, on the grass.
The chloride,
Calcium chloride.
calcium.
We're not, is it gonna kill the grass? We're not, this is seasonal, Mark. I'm not even gonna plow in the way.
Not gonna be there.
Excuse me?
Snow.
Not gonna be there.
What's not gonna be there?
Just
Not using it in the winter.
not using it, no way, no shape. 24, those months are only.
okay, so we have a motion to
So we're gonna add-
shut down at 10 and out by
Doors locked at 11.
11.
No.
We're in the middle of a vote right now, we can't, yeah.
Is there any other conditions you guys want to consider?
I think that was the main sticking point, was that they would be done by 10, out by 11.
Okay,
Right.
so we have a water resource, just
Back to my point, was we were talking about switching the asking him to request a change in the parking. Any
in the
thoughts on
direction of the
that?
parking lot, so will that,
Just the new-
He's gonna lose 2 spaces if you do that.
But he's already 10 over to
Right.
meet the requirement, right?
Do you wanna reduce the number of spaces and maybe cause a problem?
No, I don't want to do that, but I do want to protect the overflow, so,
The aquifer?
yeah.
Do we wanna put into the special permit?
What's it gonna, if he moves this thing, is it gonna move
Assembly and all,
move
I
the
mean,
parking
they're
spaces 10
putting
feet, 20
everything
feet? Is
inside
that what
and
it's
not
gonna
planning on everything outside, that they don't have the odd tent come up and all of a sudden there's harp music out there.
So
or
we wanna
something.
say, we wanna put it in a condition that
Yeah.
can be no outdoor tents of any size.
No outdoor
It's not going to change much.
assembly, no outdoor.
No.
No,
That's
well,
what
they
you're
could,
saying, you
You
say,
can have meditation, they can sit out there and have meditation, they can sit out on the deck, they can use those spaces.
yeah, no, I don't think we should limit it to inside because
That's
I,
fine, that's not
So you
considered
say no outdoor assembly?
entertainment. I'm saying no outdoor entertainment.
No, I wanna, if you're having a wedding and you wanna be out there, if you're having meditation and you have somebody on a flute as part of the meditation, or you have wind chimes as part of it, where are you gonna draw the line, Mark? I wanna make certain that they can use the property. We're not talking noise, we'll keep our noise within the levels of the
Requirements.
noise limits that are there. You have a bylaw that has those established.
We wonder why we can't
Mhm.
get rid of
We're
it.
close.
we're
we're
in
negotiating.
the middle of a
conditions,
Okay.
hearing here.
I just thought it'd make more sense to make sure that no outdoor musical assembly, since everything's gotta be inside, as part of the
Well,
condition.
the whole issue was the tent, the permanent tent, right? So
Yeah.
that's done.
That's behind.
So all we're really talking about now is their hours of operation. And then they have to operate within the limits of the current restrictions.
And
No parking on Old Great Road. Is that
And-
one of the conditions?
that would,
Why
we
would you,
can add that
why
if you
would the
want.
town limit that if the state doesn't care?
Yeah,
You're limiting parking on Beaverbrook Road. There's no parking there.
Right.
and that's already a condition, correct?
so do you want to put in a condition, no parking on Old Great Road?
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
We have a condition for hours, we have a condition for parking, and we have a condition for a revised configuration of the
Yeah, I think
grass parking.
I talked that over with Peter a little bit on the side. I think we're okay leaving it the way it is. We're only going to gain 15 feet for 2 spaces, so it doesn't really matter.
Okay, Bruce?
We're not looking to park on Old Great Road, but I don't know how you can limit anybody from parking on it. I've talked with the police department, they said if there's no signs for no parking on a public way, that you can park on a public way. We're not looking to park there. The client has offered to pay for the signs, because Mr. Clyde didn't want to have to pay for signs. There are no signs on Beaverbrook Road. We will pay for the signs, we'll get the signs, we'll have them installed for no parking on Beaverbrook Road. Cars, residents, other people park on Old Great Road. There've been cars that have been out there parked on the road that we have nothing to do with because we're not even there yet, in front of this building. So to say that there's no parking there is not something I think you even have jurisdiction over.
Mark?
If you're putting up the signs, no parking on Beaverbrook, what's the difference of putting a couple more signs on Old Great Road and say no parking on Old Great Road?
Because the
It's
state
a-
owns it, and
it's a
there's
state road, yeah.
no restrictions on it that exist right now. Why put restrictions on a dead-end piece of road? We're not looking to use it for parking. But if it is needed for parking at any one time for somebody other than us or something else, how are we gonna be controlling that if There's nothing there.
Who else
And-
uses it?
I don't know, but there's cars parked out
Mark,
front there
he's-
when I pulled down there several times.
Bruce,
last Saturday.
Bruce, he's right. It's a state road. We don't have the right to put a sign up on a state road.
Excuse me?
No, I don't
The
think so.
police have come
It's
to my
state,
house.
it's
so
state
can I
property.
add
The town
something?
does. Excuse me, we're in the middle of a hearing here. I'm sorry.
But what you're saying is wrong.
No, so let's keep moving.
Please.
I still think we should put no parking signs up there. It's no parking on the road. If this is,
Do you want to poll the rest of the board, see where
Sure.
you are?
All right.
if we're designing
So we
this,
have,
we should have it so that all the parking should fit on the site.
so
It should be-
Mark feels that we should have them put signs
They
up
put
on Old
signs
Grade
on
Road.
Beaver Brook, they should put signs on Oak Grade
Peter?
Road. Whether the state allows it or not.
Bottom line is, if you put it there, you have to put it on the other side of Beaver Brook Road also.
That'd be fine.
That's fine.
We're good with that.
The, on Old
And
Grade,
I don't believe this board should have the right over a state-owned property.
yeah, I don't either, yeah. Ed?
Agree with Peter that we don't have the right to set parking on state roads.
Okay, let's move on to the next. Any more conditions?
I'm done.
It's a state road, I can't put something on 119 and say no driving by, true?
The police come.
Okay.
Moving forward, we're losing.
Please do
Yeah,
it.
I'm sorry, we're in, gentlemen and ladies, we're in the middle of a discussion here with the board. We'll have to remain silent until we take our vote here.
The same thing for that car.
So basically it means they can park on that road.
That's
without
correct.
restriction, regardless of what condition we put on.
That's
it.
correct, because same as they can park on 495 until, we don't, this
They wanna
town
park on
doesn't have.
495, go nuts, right?
Right.
All right, any other conditions on the water resource special permit? Do I have a motion to move water resource special permit
With the,
with the conditions
we've established.
for the time?
so moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Water resource special permit is approved.
Do we have to read it?
Setback special
We
permit.
don't have to read it, right?
We have a setback special permit with basically two conditions on it. One is topography of the site and its vegetation with adequate visual screening. And the second is
Was it the findings? Is that right?
let's see. That if it's, that it is feasibly possible. Does anybody have any issues with the setback special permit as written?
Making a motion, right?
Yeah, make a motion.
All right, so I'd entertain a motion. We have a second.
Second.
So moved in second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Setback special permit is granted. Water resource
No,
special.
Site plan, right? We did water resources. Site plan.
Where's the site plan? Do I have a copy of the site plan? Oh, here it is, yeah. Site plan modification. Everybody has a copy of that? We have
Make a motion.
the standard,
What I would recommend
Language.
is just using exactly the same conditions as you did under the Water Resource District special permit, except for you don't have to record it.
exactly.
So I'll make a motion to,
He makes a motion. So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. We have a site plan modification.
That's it.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you
Next.
very much.
Yep. Continued public hearing, 511 Goldsmith Street, mixed-use special permit, site plan review, and water resource district permit. Redevelopment of existing buildings on site with 9 residential units, 1 or 2 commercial units.
Once again, I'm related.
Welcome back.
Was it bribery?
You still related?
Peter, do you have your standard disclaimer here?
Yeah.
You want to make?
I'm related to the proposal personnel, what do you call them?
And?
I have no financial interest in any way, shape, or form in this project whatsoever. I will recuse myself if anybody wishes.
Does the proposers wish Peter Scott to recuse himself in any way?
Can we have a quiet in the audience, please?
Gentlemen? Thank you. Do the proposers wish to have Peter Scott recuse himself? Good. Let's move
Anybody on
on.
the board?
No, I don't care.
No. All right, who's on deck?
Pass those down.
Who's on first?
Jonathan Markey.
All right, Jonathan.
So from our last hearing, we've made some plan modifications after a review from the reviewing engineer, Green International. I'll go over those changes quickly. So some changes to the plan. We've added downspout locations, proposed downspout locations with elevations to show how the drainage of the existing building will be tied into the municipal drainage system. We've also added a landscape island in this area so that when the traffic is coming in, it kind of blocks the view of the parking area from the street. So as you drove by, you would see, building and plantings, and it just helps with the circulation. We removed a parking spot in this area. We fixed some grades around the handicap parking areas. We've shown the existing building entrances, which are to remain. They're just going to be elevated a little bit differently to match the grade at the parking lot. And I think that's really the changes that we made to the plan. The rest of the changes were made to the drainage calculations because there were some carryover in the calculations from the previous proposal. So, we went through a second review with Green International. They've issued a letter. It's a highlighted letter. All the highlighted areas are areas where either the board needs to come to some type of comment or needs some kind of vote, if you will.
Mary, do we have that letter from Green?
Yeah, that's what I just handed out.
Oh, there we are. Okay.
Luke is here,
Yeah,
too.
gotcha. Very good. Oh, good. All set?
Yep.
Luke, do you want to give us
Yeah,
a
you want me to I'll try to just
paraphrase?
go through well, I can, it's tough to kind of paraphrase it because they're all individual. But I can try to briefly touch on each one.
Okay.
Some of these are carryover from, the previous review, which is, item 7, which was the easement. Basically, we just said that the applicant should record the proposed drainage easement at the Registry of Deeds. And Mr. Markey has indicated that they will, once the planning board has issued a final decision, an easement plan will be prepared and recorded. This can be made a condition of approval, so that one's straightforward. 8 was the wall height and the proximity of the wall to the property line, and we had commented that the wall, given that location, it should be designed by a Massachusetts registered professional engineer. And we also noted that per town council, the applicant must obtain a variance from the Board of Appeals for the wall. Mr. Markey has indicated that both the design and the variance approval can be made conditions from you guys. There was, number 14 was relating to pipe sizes, and we took no exception to their waiver request, and Jim Clyde indicated that he doesn't have an issue with it either. Number 15 is the same situation. It's the use of HDPE pipe, and same thing, they requested it, a waiver. We took no exception, and Highway Department confirmed that they don't have an issue with it. Excuse me. 16 is basically just Board of Health approval of the septic system. We deferred to the Board of Health, and Mr. Markey has indicated that the planning board can issue a conditional approval based on obtaining approval from Board of Health. 17 was including, we recommended the inclusion of stormwater pollution prevention plan as a condition to any approval from the board. Then there are a bunch that they completely addressed. Number 34 was with basically it's the grading for handicap parking spaces. We had commented that that it was unclear how they were going to, the accessible path from the handicap spaces into the building. And the applicant's response indicates that they did modify the grading of the parking lot, and they indicated in their response that they would be raising the entrances of the building to go straight across from the parking, so that would be flat, and that would be in compliance with the AAB requirements. We just requested that they indicate those adjustments to the building entrance elevations on the plan. 36 was one we had deferred to the fire department. Actually, no. Yeah, we had deferred to the fire department to comment on the adequacy of access, and Mr. Markey indicated that they had issued comments and do not require plan modifications. The only reason I mentioned that is because I just didn't see the comments from fire department. 37 was, we had previously just deferred to the board on some design criteria for the Village Common zoning district. And I stated that our review did not include any review of aesthetic or character portions of that requirement, and I respectfully deferred to the board for, the following items, which is design goals, building scale, roof form, entrances, and external materials and appearance, particularly with the proposed walls being immediately adjacent to the existing building. 38 was, let's see, pedestrian-friendly amenities, sidewalks, paths, outdoor seating, porches, patios, courtyards, all that stuff. Again, we deferred to the board. Bicycle parking was one thing that was discussed previously, and at the time, my recollection was that it was discussed when this was just condominiums. And at the time, I believe the board had said it didn't make sense to include that requirement. I just brought it up again because now it's no longer strictly residential. So I just figured I'd mention it again, for the board to decide. The illumination of the parking lot, the applicant has added lighting to the plans. I did just note that there are 4 spaces right over here. One of the requirements is that visibility of parking areas from public ways. Nope, that's the wrong spot right there. It's all entrances are to have sufficient illumination at night and should be visible from the parking area. Just you won't be able to see the building entrance from this area of the parking is all. And then they addressed all the other comments up until, excuse me, there are just a few additional comments. that we had just for this one version. So what they're doing now is they're proposing a walkway on top of the retaining wall. So they widened out that retaining wall. And where some of that says, guardrail, and actually I forget what it says here, proposed retaining wall with guardrail and stockade fence surrounding the site. So that wall shown as 3 feet wide. If they're, my only comment was that, if they're going to have a guardrail and a stockade fence, that seems to me like that's going to eat into that 3 foot width that they're showing now. And I just wanted to make sure that if they're going to be using that for their accessible path, that that the width of the guardrail and the stockade fence are taken into account. And that's basically 50 and 51. Just two different versions of that. One of them is with a proposed walkway with a railing on top of the walkway. So it was just a matter of making sure that once they take that into account, that it's still wide enough to accommodate, wheelchairs. And actually, this was one thing, we just received the applicant's responses to the comments, the other day. So we just gave them this letter, 2 days ago. So I haven't gotten a chance, they haven't had a chance to respond. But one thing was along this wall, along the outside where the parking is driving right up to that wall. It seems, the grading seems to indicate that, there's no lip there, it's just like flush. And I just wanted to, check to see if that was what they intended, especially where some of that might be a walkway. But that was just something I kind of wanted clarification on.
So if I can just clarify those last few comments.
Sure. And I got one. Yeah, I'll just do the last one, and
Okay.
then you can address both of those. And then the only other thing was, it's a small area between the building and this retaining wall, but this is basically going to be, an area where, it's going to be kind of a pit. And I just wanted them to comment on how any water is going to get out of there, basically, assuming that this is going to be filled and that water wouldn't be able to run across where those two building entrances are. I just wanted clarification on how water was going to get out of there. But those were the only comments.
Okay.
So I'll start with the last one. The drainage report, we've done extensive soil testing on site. Everything subsurface is very coarse-grained, coarse sand. Has an infiltration rate of greater than 2 minutes an inch. In a 100-year storm, we get 8 inches in 24 hours. The infiltration rate for coarse sand under worst conditions is 8 inches an hour. So we're not going to have any water standing in those pits. The water goes in, it goes down into the ground. We're not going to put any loam and seed in there because we can't put a lawnmower in there to mow it. It's just going to be gravel at the bottom of that. So, this area here that we're talking, that's 200 square feet of gravel on top of coarse sand. So the water's just going to go right into the ground. So the proposed areas of the walkway are not in the back here. So along this is curb.
JJ, you're right in front of the board.
Sorry, yeah. Along this entire parking area this way, that's all curb that sits on top of the wall. Then there's the guardrail and the fences in back of the guardrail. The length of the spaces from here to here is the 20 feet. So that it's not, I'm not eating into the 20-foot space with.
No, Mike, I wasn't talking about eating into the space. I was talking about eating into the what you're calling the walkway in some of the areas.
Right, this isn't walkway.
Yeah, okay, that's
So
the
the walkway is located in this area, which it's just going to be concrete on top of the 3-foot wall. And it runs down to this area right here.
And that's going to be curved as well?
Yes, that will have slope granite curve, just like the slope granite. And the rest of everything, I think, is stuff that needs comment from the board.
Does anybody on the board have any questions or comments?
No.
Yeah.
I have a question regarding the pit between this wall and the exterior of the building. It's going to remain gravel. However, we do have snow and ice in the wintertime, so when we plow this area, and ice builds up, and then water comes in, what's the drainage going to be
You
then?
wouldn't plow the snow into the pit because it's against the building. This is out right here.
Right, it's a long stretch window well, so the first time the plow guy comes in and angles his plow towards the house because he thinks he's plowing against the curb, he's going to push it into that hole.
I can't even answer that. I don't know why you would push snow over a wall against a house.
The wall's 6 inches off the ground, basically.
Is there a curb there? Is there a curb there is my question. Is it flat? Are they,
No, yeah, there's
It's a
curb.
6-inch
There's curb
curb.
everywhere where
Yeah.
there's wall.
And that's walkway too, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's parking lot, walkway, parking lot, curb, and then walkway.
And on the back side of that walkway, it's, is that rail? Or is that just a handrail?
The handrail is on the back of the wall.
So handrail on the back, so handrail,
walkway,
Sidewalk,
curb,
curb,
parking lot, driveway?
parking.
Yeah. And the walkway will be accessible. It'll be wide enough to meet code. It'll have to be.
A, B.
Yeah, it'll have to be. 'Cause
Well, the entrance for the two handicap spaces is at the
Okay. It looks like in Green's report, we're gonna have a few conditions that we might consider. ZBA conditions, Board of Health condition.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think you need to put those in as conditions because they have to get those permits anyway.
That's true.
And what is the maximum height of the retaining wall?
Very true, yeah.
6.2.
So that's going to require a building permit anyway.
6.5 here and 16.
Yeah.
Is there a fence back there? Where you just had your hand?
There is a fence on the outside.
There's a fence on the wall proposed.
So that's what'll protect the Davis in the back from lights from the parking in front.
It'll protect us from Jimmy McNiff's 218 wheeler trailers there.
Okay, that's even better. Okay.
Are they registered?
I don't have any problem, I don't have any questions.
Good. Any other questions from the board?
I'd like to make a motion.
Well, no, we have to, what are we gonna say about these conditions?
The pipes, if Jimmy's fine with it, I'm fine with the pipes. I don't have any problem with that. As long as-
Right,
Yeah.
so number 7, we're good with Jimmy's recommendation? Yeah, okay. Number 8,
Yep.
Good.
Number,
we're not requiring bike parking?
No.
Done?
no.
Okay.
Number 16, Board of Health, except they're gonna have to deal with Board of Health themselves. Number 17,
I think my question on that was how that ties into the Water Resource District special permit findings you have to make.
and we can make it a condition. if they-
It's up to you.
Excuse me, that Board of Health waiver is only, is only a variance for a wall. Only a variance for the wall. I don't see how that ties into the
Then what, 17, not 16?
water resource conditions.
Yeah, no, 16 is the wall, yeah, 16 is the wall. No, 17 is the wall, 16 is the...
All right,
That's what I'm saying. we
yeah,
just-
so I don't see any reason for.
Nor do I.
Any special condition for that. Number 17,
That happens at the as-built stage.
that's right.
Stormwater.
17 occurs prior to issuance of building.
The next one down was 36. And we talked about accessible paths, you're gonna have to meet all those. Whatever,
Right,
the
but
building code requires.
they just need to update the plans to reflect the elevations, that's what's going
They're
on.
on there.
Of the
Yeah.
building entrances?
Yes, so it's got the grid marked right at the steep of the thing.
proposed grade?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's in the parking lot.
Yeah, but it's level from there to there, that's the
Right,
covered entrance.
Right, but you're saying you're gonna raise you're gonna raise the entrance of the building.
Yup.
If
To
I were,
that elevation.
right, but if I were to look at this, which I did, obviously, I see a spot grade in the parking lot,
Yep.
and nothing tells me that the entrance of the building is gonna be changed. I would assume that you're going to ramp from that parking lot down to whatever the existing doorway is, because there's nothing on there telling me otherwise.
Well,
So,
I'm telling you now, it's level.
right, so,
Right.
does that need a note on there? Or,
Does that mean?
Either way, it's gonna meet accessibility.
Right, it's gotta meet the AB
That's
requirements.
what I'm-
Yeah,
Right,
they're
yeah.
gonna-
That's what I'm saying.
You're doing your job pointing
You're
out
gonna
that
have a
it's
building
correct.
permit, and before the building inspector approves it, he's gonna have to show how it beats
So he's
ADA.
saying, just make sure you reflect it on the plan.
Right?
Yeah.
Fine.
But
That's a good
what I'm
note.
saying, so if you close the hearing and issue a decision, how am I gonna give you another set of plans?
We'll trust you.
well, you can,
Can't we do it on a condition that he
you can,
updates the plans?
right, right.
That's good.
Did Make,
Okay.
make the following changes. Right.
But that's a
Would
condition.
you be,
You know what would make this a lot easier? If you guys had sat down and worked it all through, so when you came to us,
Mark,
you
Mark,
had a nice.
I'm not gonna accept that, because how am I gonna say, do we meet the design goals for building scale, roof form, entrances, external materials, and appearance?
No, that's not,
We're not even weighing in on that.
But that's
You
8 pages
you
of that
guys should have
stuff.
sat down and had an understanding and had this all worked out so that when our expert consultant came in here, you guys were both on the same page, and we're not going back and forth 10 times again. It's just, that's the way it normally.
So moving on with the list.
as Luke mentioned, he only got it
2 days
2
ago.
days ago.
But
so-
that's not our
Yeah.
problem. You know, we're wasting a lot of time on, they could have.
All right, so number,
All right, let's keep going.
number 34 is, it doesn't apply. The other one was 37. That's up to us. Aesthetic the applicability to the aesthetic character of our zoning bylaw.
It's an existing building, we just changed the
Yeah.
color.
Yeah.
We don't like the color.
Yeah, lime green, yeah.
All right, so we're past that. Number 38,
You don't want to weigh
same
into
thing.
stone and iron and all this other stuff, Richard, like you always do? You gotta just let them slide
Come
on
on,
this
Jim.
one?
Move forward, they're not changing, so.
They might have a little
no,
fun.
no, not this time. Tonight, let's go.
38,
I'm gonna stay home next time. Go ahead.
sidewalks and pathways, and nothing's changing, so there's no issue there. 39, no issue there.
We're not requiring bicycle parking, right?
That's right. So I don't see any issues with any of these comments from Green that need to be incorporated as
So
a,
you're also okay with 40?
have sufficient illumination at night and shall be
4
visible.
parking spaces in the back.
Yeah,
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
They've added lighting for the parking though, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so,
that's,
so the parking will be illuminated, you just won't be able to see the entrance of the building.
But you drive by it on the way to the park.
So you might know where it is.
does anybody, anybody on the board have any requests to see any comments from Green as a condition? I don't see any need for any of this.
Number 7 was the one about that drainage easement, which we had talked about at length in the previous, about requiring.
That was already discussed, that we would record it prior to
Okay,
the
yeah,
occupancy.
that was just the only one that
Yeah.
I didn't hear.
Does that need to be
I would
part of
recommend
the
it be a
decision,
condition.
right?
Okay, so we have one condition, and it's that the drainage easement be recorded. Okay?
Before occupancy, if you don't mind, because
Before, I think it should be recorded and make sure it's all set to go. I mean, do you really want to build all those buildings and have something go wrong?
no, but when you're dealing with a commercial,
So there you go. Do you want to build all that, do all that money and not be able to occupy without that being in place?
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's up to you. I suppose if you guys,
Before occupancy, there,
before? Makes sense to me.
before occupancy. All right, so that's our only,
So it's staying the
only
same
condition.
before occupancy. All right, listen to me, I got nothing else to say.
Good.
And I gave it to you too.
Any comment from the public? If not, I'll take a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Ben,
If I recall, I had draft decisions to you. Did I?
you do?
Okay,
Yes, you
good.
do. You attached them. So a special permit for mixed use in the Village Common District. You all have copies of it? Pretty straightforward. Seems to meet the visual character of the business district. Looks like we have two waivers that are being granted here. Section 249-51G for the drainage pipes, and 249-85.B.1 for the class of that type of pipe. Any comments?
You want to add that one condition in about?
For the drainage easement.
And we'll add the condition about
Drainage easement.
being filed with the Registry of Deeds before occupancy.
Perfect. I'll entertain a motion to approve it as amended.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed. You have your Village Common Business District Special Permit. Okay, we have a Water Resource District Special Permit. Water Resource, Matt?
We're not done yet.
We're in the middle of a decision here. We have 19 conditions on this. They appear to be the standard conditions. Maren? Standard conditions for a water resource special permit. Any comment from any of the board members? I'll entertain a motion
So moved.
to approve the water resource district special permit. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? You have your water resource district special permit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wrong.
And
What's wrong?
What's wrong is, that plan is showing 7 units in that building. We have 8 apartments and 1 office, 2 units in the green building. You have plans that show 8 units in it. I gave them the last
meeting.
planning board meeting.
Yeah.
Do you have a plan? Just want to see.
I gave you a 2-page layout of the plans.
They're 9 by 11.
Right, that was, would have been in the minutes from last month.
What are they dated?
The 9 by 11s.
They're 9 by 11s, they were looking for the board last meeting.
I just have.
What's that? That's with the 8, right? Sorry? That's with the 8.
all right, will one of you
It shows
speak?
8 apartments, 1 office, and 2 units. That's your plan, right? I handed you 8 by 11 last meeting. It showed the layouts of the building.
Oh, the units, the unit layouts is what you gave
Unit
in the last
layout.
meeting. The unit layouts.
Yes, I believe you did.
I know I did.
So we're just making sure that your decision says
Because this
8
plan
and
shows
2.
7 units in it.
That's the site plan, the site isn't changing, but the unit layout within the building is changed to 8 units in this building. 8 plus
It's 8 units
commercial,
now.
Oh,
and then 2
yeah.
over here.
Okay,
I just want to be sure your decision doesn't say 7.
I'll go
okay.
get them, I got them in the car.
No, we
It says
can,
10 units.
we can make the modification that says S1
If you want, I'll go grab them and get them in the car.
for the record.
For the record.
Yeah.
So is that gonna be a condition, where he modify the plan to say 8?
Exactly.
Correct, his parking calculation.
Please.
It still is,
Yeah,
it still has plenty.
It doesn't change your.
It's not in here.
He passed them out last meeting when
Oh, I
we
know, I
asked
don't
for
have
the
them
building
for
plans.
Yeah, but why aren't they in our package? I mean, just passing them.
They were here at the last meeting, that's why. Because when you asked for the interior layout plans, that had 8 units in it, that's what he's saying.
And the note on this just says 7. That's a that's a
That's a
mistake,
mistake.
an obvious mistake.
Okay, what do we have in the first page of the decisions? There's a description of the project, is that correct?
Construct 8 two-bedroom residential units. That's our decision.
8,
Decisions for 8.
The decision is
one
right.
building and 2 in the other,
And,
and the duplex.
yeah, the decision reads, construct 8 two-bedroom residential units in one existing building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ground floor, commercial, 1 or 2 units, and 1 residential second floor in the smaller front building as mixed use.
No, 2 in the smaller building.
Okay.
Two residential, and then we move one of the commercials in the big building. Yeah,
We're
Correct.
doing the commercial right here.
right.
All right.
Right.
Okay.
We'll amend
8
it.
units.
We'll amend it.
We're fine.
So,
Thank you.
let's
So-
revisit the decision for the Village Common Business District Special Permit by adding a condition that the plans be amended to correct the errors,
Yeah, well, yeah, the unit, the number of units.
number of units, and that the decision be, the draft decision be amended to reflect the 2 units in the second building.
Right.
And 1 commercial
Well,
unit.
since we didn't sign it, why don't we just have Martin clean it up and just,
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
again send it.
All right, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Thank you very much.
Aye. Okay. Are we there yet? Are we there?
okay, we're close.
And, Maren, this will be for the record? Yeah.
How would I know that?
Get a cup of water before.
How would we know that?
What's that?
How would I know it went from 7 to 8? I don't even know what's in front of me. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
So you got a decision that says 8 and a plan that says 7.
Anyway,
So it's a,
Sure.
it's,
The Town of Littleton Planning Board and Tree Warden
here we are.
will hold a joint public hearing on Thursday, July 9th at 8:15 a.m. Excuse me! Go outside and talk if you wish.
Peter,
What?
please read.
To MGL Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 15C, in the Code of the Town of Littleton Scenic Road Bylaw, Chapter 143. The location and entire length of the new estate road from King Street to Air Road. The applicant is seeking special permits under the Scenic Road Bylaw to allow temporary removal and reconstruction of stone walls and removal up to 4 feet trees to allow roadway improvements. Application and plans can be viewed at the Planning Board, Town Clerk's Office during the business hours. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on the proposed plan should appear at the time and place designated. Ed Mullen, Clerk.
All right, public hearing is now open. Looks like we have Green International here.
Yes. My name is Matt Bono, like you said, I'm with Green International.
Yeah.
Also here with me is Eric Atkins. I know we saw a lot of you before at some local concern meetings.
Good tap dance.
So we're working for Jim Clyde in the Highway Department for these new estate road design plans. We're here tonight for application of the scenic road permit. A lot of you know that this road is a mile-long roadway. The pavement's in very poor shape. Drainage is an issue out here, and we've actually taken pavement cores to show that the pavement is actually very thin. The scenic road, as we said, it's a 25-mile-an-hour side speed, so it's very slow. There's low traffic volumes. As you can see from the boards, we show our proposed work. Starting from the Air Road side, we work left across the top of the boards and down across the bottom of the boards. On the plans, the dark gray would be the proposed pavement limits. It is a 22-foot consistent width with a berm on both edges. And the orange here shows a sidewalk down the southern side of the road. With the addition of the sidewalk, on the southern side, we impact 4 trees. These trees are labeled on the plan. 30-inch oak tree at the very beginning of the job as you're coming up the hill. Then down, when we get a little further down on the far side of this board, we have a 26-inch oak tree on the left side, and then an 18-inch tree on the right side, and another 6-inch tree a little further down. When we started this project, some of you know the street wasn't accepted. Recently, end of last year, the street is now accepted. We've also had 2 public concerns meetings that a lot of you were at. We heard concerns, and we reflected some of those concerns in our design plans today. The proposed design reflects, like I said, a 22-foot wide cross-section with berm on both sides. That requires a lot of additional closed drainage systems, which is shown in blue on the plan. At either end, we're proposing to narrow the intersections to improve safety concerns. I know down at the cemetery end, they're both very wide. They both have a splitter island with the utility pole in the intersection. We're proposing to relocate that utility pole and narrow it down to a 90-degree intersection to improve safety concerns. Over the proposed design, we're also improving minor improvements to vertical and horizontal design characteristics of the road. We anticipate construction to start later this year, possibly in September. And I will open it up to any questions.
Board have any questions?
Yeah, I do.
You want
Do you need to
identify
introduce yourself? No, actually, I don't. I live on the road. I'm an avid user of the road. I walk up and down it every day. And you realize the traffic on Saturday morning in Corporate Field, you pinch that off, you're gonna have serious problems.
What problem?
There's people coming in and out of that roadway. There's at least 50 to 60 cars. There's cars parked all up and down New State Road up to about the midway of the hill. If you pinch that entranceway off, you're gonna have traffic problems there.
As far as the intersection is concerned, right now, I don't think there's a dedicated traffic pattern to that intersection.
No, but if you watch people use it, you can see what's going on.
Well, that's what this improves. We're adding a double yellow line for the first 200 feet to dedicate those travel lanes, and also adding a stop bar on the right side.
I see you're gonna cause a huge traffic jam. You're gonna choke it up.
Just so you know, Jerry, we met with Chief Kelly at the time.
Sure.
And also, I think Chief King supports these 2 design reconfigurations, as does, I believe, Mass DOT.
No, I'm sure they do. My point is, what are you gonna do? You're gonna have a traffic problem. That's gonna cause a backup. People won't be able to get in and out, right? When game switch time goes on, you could have 60 cars leaving that area. Now, they can't get by each other. It's gonna back up.
Yeah, I think that it's a good point. I think one thing to consider is the potential for that traffic backup on a Saturday, I don't think outweighs the potential safety benefits of improving those intersections. I think everyone would agree, especially at this side, coming out, you can't see over that hill just past Middlesex. The sight distances are very limited in that area. In addition, on the Pond side, the Pond Side apartment side, the cemetery end, I think sight distances are fairly limited. We also want to create a little bit more separation to the entrance to the apartments as well. So I don't think we would refute that there may be some traffic backups. Whether they would be exacerbated by this modification, I'm not sure. This is a fairly conventional design for most roadways. I think,
you probably need another egress for corporate. Problem is, corporate has to, the only way to get out of corporate for everybody in that parking lot is to go out and take a left. So when people are leaving the game, right, and then people are coming in, that's when the problem occurs. There's people parked up along the road. So now there's really nowhere to go to get around all that. So most people would have 2 entranceways to alleviate that problem, but now there isn't any.
at the field?
At the field, you only get in one way.
Isn't that how it is now? There's
That's
only
what-
one entrance to the field now?
I know, you can alleviate that by getting out on the road. There's a lot of room there, you're gonna pinch it off. So there's not gonna be as much room to go around.
I'm sorry, sorry, Jerry, I'm ignorant on this. So people, you're saying park here now?
Yeah, all the way up. right? And then people can go in and out. It's pretty wide down there, so, you know, people can flow in and out. If you pitch it off, it's just gonna be, you're gonna create a backup getting in there,
How far up do they park, up the road?
probably about halfway up the hill at times. And if they host like End Cup or something like that,
So
you could have more,
Is
yeah.
even as far as this?
Only on game day, only on Saturday.
Would you say the traffic coming this way is as heavy when the traffic is exiting the field?
It's all coming in and out of one.
So
Some
they come
people,
out and they come out here and
they come out, they go on to 110. So I'll think about like anybody from Tewksbury, wherever, they're all going in and out that way.
I mean, we could certainly work with the police to restrict parking within this area here to alleviate that concern.
Well, yeah, but then, so you just have to make sure people can park to access the game, because where do they go after that? If they can't park there, where do they go? They usually park down there.
Does the parking lot have enough capacity for people
Not during
at the
game day,
game?
not even close.
So the parking lot's too small.
So, yeah, it's way too small.
So that's the
Right.
first problem.
Yeah, and
Actually, the-
egress in and out.
The company that abuts this has offered to work with the town on some parking.
But the first thing they did, it wasn't a problem until the, whatever they're called, FIBA blocked that.
This entrance.
When they blocked that entrance, that's what causes the big problem now. And before, anybody could just basically go down there and cut the whole problem off. Now you can't do that.
Well, if FIBA moved their, blocked it off so that it was further down, because that's limited access 100 yards down that, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, like 2 years ago, that wasn't blocked off.
Huh?
2 years ago, that wasn't blocked off.
But if they got it blocked off right at the end of New Estate now, right? Right on the road.
Right, so the only thing you can do is go down that perpendicular entryway and then make a big hard left. So most people don't do that anymore, they stay up on the street. It used to be you could just go down in there, problem solved, but since FIBA blocked it off,
What,
there's
drive
no
through their
relief.
parking lot and come out the other way, you mean?
Yeah, you can go in and out of there, no problem, there's no issue.
So
Now
Jerry,
there
are you
is.
suggesting that they have a parking lane on the side of the road?
I'm
going
saying
up
the
hill?
relief that used to be there is now gone, and now you're gonna choke it off even more, so it's gonna be even harder to
Well, the
navigate that.
choke at the entrance, it makes sense.
No, I'm not, it makes perfect sense for a normal street like this, if that field wasn't used the way it was used.
But whether the field's used or not, it's not the problem of the road that the parking area inside the field is not big enough.
Correct.
Is there a way we can improve the parking lot as a planning board?
I don't know if that's,
Would you, are you suggesting that they add a parking lane along that hillside, all the way up the hillside?
or another way out.
Or second way out, that's a hill on the back end.
No, you can open up, see how, the electric department, if you could go out, sweep around, and come out
Oh,
through the
yeah.
municipal,
Say someone
Yeah.
suggested that?
yeah.
That would,
It's gated, they put all those gates up, that's what I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
they basically choked the whole place off.
Yeah.
so Maren, could you help me understand a little bit better what FIBA was proposing or?
Well, there was just a generic discussion that they would work with the town on parking there.
FIBA or the one over here? The one near the,
FIBA Technologies, no, not this way, because then you're going through all the gated light and water and highway, all their secured.
So the way the signage works down in FIBA, right, so that's a one-way entrance now, you're not supposed to come back up it, so you'd have to go down to Distribution Drive down, just go in by Barking Dog or whatever, and then park in there and then walk up, no problem, but people from out of town aren't gonna know to do that, like, there's no, who knows, unless you're local. So you'd have to set it up so that there was signage and,
Would this fall under the jurisdiction of the scenic road permit, this type of? I'm not really sure. This is the first time this concern has been raised by anyone. It's an interesting concern. It's something that I think, unfortunately, Jim's on vacation. He can't weigh in with his opinion on.
well, we can leave this off for a little
True,
while, right?
'cause this is-
What we're after now is cutting down 4 trees.
Right.
And
So we'll stick to
let's just
the
do our
issue
4
at hand
trees
here,
and
which is
whatever
the
else we
4
need to
trees.
address right now.
And
And then we'll leave this for another
I can
discussion.
certainly, when Jim comes back on Monday, I'll discuss this with him a little bit. I can say, honestly, we wouldn't want to have someone park here anyways from a safety issue.
Yeah.
On this side, we are curbing and putting sidewalk. To widen this out, I don't think would be feasible, because as you may recall, this drops down pretty quickly now towards the field, and to widen this out would require the removal of quite a few more trees along this side.
right, so normally,
Probably
right,
on this side is actually currently not in the town's property, it's actually in FEMA's property, so we're actually realigning the roadway back into the town's right-of-way here. So we have limited ability to offer anything on this side of the road. And that's why I was curious as to what they may suggest, and potentially it's a conversation that can be to try to come up with a better solution for that.
Right, because you don't want people parking on, well, we don't want people parking on the new sidewalk. That's that, I mean, you're gonna wreck the curb, it'll destroy it.
You folks live on New Estate, right?
Peter?
What would you think is the volume on a Saturday morning going this way? Just from this upper end?
Because
Everyone's going to the dump, probably.
Yeah, for the soccer field, I don't think a lot of traffic comes up that way. My bigger issue is just the everyday traffic of people cutting through the street, but I definitely see what he's saying. On the soccer field days, halfway up that, because I'm the fourth house on the right, kind of just coming up the hill, right there. Yeah, no, one over.
Yeah.
I mean, that halfway up that hill is just packed both sides. I mean, there's no denying that.
We have a special permit here that talks about trees, and that's it. That's where that's where we need to keep this conversation. These
I'll
are,
present it to Jim, though.
these are great points to bring up, and it's probably worthwhile for maybe Jerry and yourself to meet with Jim Clyde and try to come up with
Trees.
Let's go.
Trees.
Let's go back to trees.
Trees.
All right, thank you. So, do we have any issue with the 4 trees that need to be removed on that road?
Yeah.
No issue.
Welcome to the public here, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just asking a question. I know if you were discussing amongst the board members.
Yep, just asking the board if there's any issue.
No, I have no issue with taking the 4 trees down.
All right, any comments from the public?
Yeah, all right. Well,
In relation to the 4 trees?
Yeah, I mean, basically, I assume they're right at the edge of the pavement, so they'd be a menace to traffic if they stayed.
The implementation of the sidewalk is the issue here. We're taking this 5-foot sidewalk, and 88, you need 3-foot clearance to walk. With those trees there, it impedes the ADA.
Okay, we have another comment?
I have a number of points, and they are relevant to the posted public hearing. They're not relevant to 4 trees, because nowhere in here is there mentioned 4 trees, and I would encourage any board members, planning board members who haven't traveled on New Estate Road since the orange staking went up a few weeks ago. That's really when the fantasy land went away and reality hit home about what is being proposed. For the record, Paul Glavy, 54 New Estate Road,
Thank you, Paul.
speaking as an individual resident. As we all know, last September when this was brought before the selectmen for the special town meeting vote, preliminary plans were already in the works for doing the road. When it was discovered that it had never been taken, the obligation to go to town meeting for a road acceptance was a necessary vehicle to make any of this happen. I speak only for myself, but from conversation with other residents of the road, everybody wants to see the road paved, and I think most people accept the need for a sidewalk on there. What we were told last September, the only meeting before a public board that we have had access to have a conversation with the Board of Selectmen last September, we were told that the repaving of the road would not necessitate any takings, because it would be a repaving and a reconstitution of the road and necessary additional sidewalk. 2, that all of that would be staked so we would know what we were getting before town meeting, orange staked. And 3, that if any small takings were in order, that there would be individual negotiations with the butters. Well, 3 for 3, all 3 of those things did not happen before the town vote. Although we did get an opportunity at town meeting to once again get our assurances on the record, both on the record at the selectmen meeting last September and at the town meeting vote in November, that no, the road design would not take property and it would not disturb the historic nature of that road. The road's been in place 150 years, whether it's been laid out or not. The vote that happened in November, which I think most of us supported, was followed up by a letter in December out of the blue saying town council's decided no takings are in place. So, or no takings are in the offing. Well, we didn't get a chance, although many of us have had a chance to look at the plans at these 2 meetings and other opportunities at the town highway department's offices.
Cut to the chase.
Well, it's important to me, Peter, because I live there, it's my
understand.
property. So I'm gonna speak until the chairman cuts me off. So the first opportunity we've had to look at what the plans really look like in reality was when the stakes were put out in the month of June, almost a year after we were promised them. That's entirely different from what we proposed. It looks like there's a presumption made that the taking reflects the town meeting vote, but not the commitments made prior to the town meeting vote. Because prior to the vote by the town, by usage, the town had established a right-of-way on the road as it exists. The abutters had also established their own use of the property up to the edge of the road by usage, because it had never been taken. If the town had said they were going to take the road and not make reparations, and the townspeople voted on that, that's one thing. But those are not the promises made. So where we're at in the process, honestly, is that we need to go back and have a meeting with the selectmen again to revisit the issue of just how did we end up at this place with this over-designed property. This is a 150-year-old road, fully developed on both sides of it with houses. And if you look at where the stakes are going, there's no need of that to support a reconstruction of that road, even with the sidewalk. It's much too grand. It sounds like it's meeting current standards that you would apply to a new constructed road, which is perfectly understandable. But the town could save a lot of money in construction, not to mention a lot of grief and grievance from abutters who I find it hard to believe are only going to lose 4 trees. If you look at where those stakes are, a lot of them come right up to the stake. So I suggest that if this board is conducting a scenic road special permit hearing, I'd ask at a minimum that you continue that hearing until these issues are resolved with the Board of Selectmen.
Jerry?
Can I just,
Let's have it from the resident first.
Just
Jerry.
one question on the stakes for Griffin Green. Are those marking where the pavement's gonna go, or are those marking where the right-of-way is?
I think that's what I wanted to address.
All right, let's have,
Stakes are where the property line is, not where the limit of pavement or work is. The stakes are representing the property themselves. As you can see, some of these boards.
If so, that's a new taking.
There is a
No, it
big
isn't.
difference
Yes, it
between
is.
the yellow line.
Now we're practicing law.
There are courts to settle those issues.
all right. So this is something that's not going to get even close to being settled tonight. It sounds like we're going to need to continue this hearing, and until such time as the residents and the Board of Selectmen come to terms. Eric, you have a comment?
If I may, please, yeah. Maybe we can just step back a little bit, that'd be great. As Matt had mentioned before, we had a number of local concerns meetings to address your concern with these, to hear those concerns, to hear these concerns that we're hearing tonight. None of these concerns were raised at those meetings. Let me just explain what the board shows a little bit, maybe in a little bit more detail. And I'm trying not to be in everyone's way, but it's not easy, and I apologize. So there are yellow lines that are shown on each side of the roadway that run the entire length of the roadway. For this section of roadway, the first, I would say, 1,000 feet of the roadway, that is county layout that was established in 1951. It's been recorded in the Registry of Deeds. That's where this information was taken. The state of Massachusetts, when the county owned that road, this is a county layout up to about this point here. The rest of this layout was established by our surveyors based on recording of field evidence, whether it be stone walls, iron pins, stone bounds, your deeds, everyone else's deeds, property plans from when Checkerberry and Sleigh Ride, all those roads were built. And the town's right-of-way was established based on those records of evidence and the information from that's established in the Registry of Deeds. And that's what established this town right-of-way line. That right-of-way line mimics fairly well the record information we've seen, and we don't believe that there's any taking involved, especially with the acceptance of the town's right-of-way at the town meeting in November. That established this to be the legally defined town right-of-way for the roadway. What was laid out by our surveyors with the pink tape is actually, or whatever the color was, is actually this yellow line that you see here. And as you can see, it varies greatly as you go down the road. The limits of the work are not that line, what was shown in the field.
My quibble is not with the engineers. I used to work in the county commissioner's office back when the county engineer's office actually existed. And the labeling of the road as a county road is no substitute for town acceptance of the road. If that were the case, we would not have had to go to town meeting last November to accept it.
This piece was not accepted. This piece was already recorded as being an established county layout. It was this piece down to the cemetery that was accepted.
So that's where my particular points are at issue in any event.
Paul, any more comments?
No, I appreciate the time to make those
Yeah,
points.
no,
I'm
good,
sorry,
good
Paul,
point.
one second, I didn't mean that, you know,
No, I
but what
understand. I mean, I
what I
have
see,
consulted
what I,
counsel, so-
yeah, what I see all these points, and that's taken, again, like you said, from the registry, from everything else, whether you, unless you take it in open defiance, you can't take it by adverse possession, correct?
Right.
Property,
And I would also state that I'm not sure if it's under the jurisdiction of the planning board of the scenic road
It
review.
It isn't, so we're gonna,
My point of raising it here is this is premature until that issue is.
unless there are any more comments, that any new information.
Do you
then
want the input from the highway department, so, on the trees?
We have the highway department here. Oh, yes. Sure.
Smaller than Jimmy, we didn't see you.
Yeah.
Your name, please.
Dan Kevitz.
Okay.
All we're trying to do, we try to limit what we need to take down to start this project. That's all we're looking for, 4 trees. And it's now in your hands to make that decision.
We'll make that decision at some other night. But thank you very much. I'd entertain a motion to continue the hearing.
Continue or close?
Continue it. I don't think,
Question why continue, it's not really in
Just
the
for 4
purview of
trees.
the planning board about the acceptance of the road, it's just we're talking the trees and.
I say vote.
Application.
okay.
I make a motion to
then-
vote on the taking down of the 4 trees.
Then do we have a
I need a
second
second on that.
on that?
Yeah.
All right. Do we have any further discussion on the 4 trees? If not,
There is a draft decision.
You have a decision, right?
if not, all in favor, aye?
Wait, do you want to?
We'll close the hearing. And now we can talk about a decision. So we have a scenic road review decision in front of us.
It lists the 4 trees, it's pretty standard.
It's, does anybody have any issue or any comment on the decision as written? Okay, Tom?
I do. I was just curious, would it make sense to hold off voting on taking down these trees until this gets in front of the selectmen for full review?
No.
I don't think so, because it'll be one less, unless there's any issue in the audience here.
Well, I do have a question that I think applies to me for 2 reasons. Jared Cameron, 1 and 70 New Estate. I happen to have a tree and also a wall that I think is part of.
One of these
the letter
4?
that talks about, well, so not so much part of one of the 4, but the wall, I have no concern with you guys taking the wall, moving it down.
We have to keep it strictly to one of these 4.
Yeah, so those 4 trees?
That's
'Cause
correct.
my issue is the way the sidewalk kicks out in front of my house
That's
around a tree.
that's not what we're voting on.
No, we're not taking the tree.
Yeah. All right.
I'd rather you take the tree, because the tree gotta go down at some point, I'm gonna be stuck to the sidewalk jogging.
They'll take it.
That's for another
While
day.
we get fixated on the absurd notion of 4 trees, I believe we've never actually made aware of which 4 trees are being taken.
So we can-
It's not in the notice.
You're correct, it's not required to be in the notice, they are
Fine,
posted.
it's not in the notice.
You're right, they're not in the notice, they are posted on site, which is what is required of the tree warden.
Okay, can we hear where those 4 trees are?
Want me to read it?
So, they're
Yes.
marked on the plan here.
Go ahead.
The first one is about halfway up the hill, adjacent to the soccer field. It's a 30-inch pine tree.
It's 200 New Estate Road.
It's adjacent to the soccer field.
Yeah, yeah.
We get further down, the next tree is actually on the left side, just because we wanted to keep the road straight instead of actually bending
Name the property owner, I could probably identify them.
115 New Estate.
Christina Dunn.
Okay.
It's a 26-inch oak tree. The next tree is just on the other side of Sleigh Ride at 106 New Estate. And it's, if you're standing on the road, it's right to the left of the driveway. It's an 18-inch oak tree. The last one is right between 96 New Estate and 104 New Estate, and it's a 6-inch oak tree.
Can we keep it down in the audience, please?
What's the name on that?
Julia Rupp.
Okay, now are there any more further comments on the 4 trees? Hearing none,
I'll make a motion to approve it as written.
we have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
Wait, I got a nay.
Oh, you had a nay.
I'm a nay.
3. Did you say nay?
Okay, we have a 4-1
4-1.
decision. All right, you have your scenic road decision. Good luck with the selectmen. Yeah.
You know everybody
What's
knows
left?
what those steaks were.
Any-
A few people I talked to, I was like, you realize that's not where the roads are.
Well, that's staking something out.
I know you guys have something you were asked to do. Actually, I think we can find property lines per.
We make a motion to close the meeting?
One more item.
Unfortunately.
All right, gentlemen,
Take it
we have
outside.
one more item on our agenda.
One more little, quick little.
Village Common 40B questions. Mark, you're gonna have, you have some comment here?
I just thought that it made sense that the proposed 9-year-old 40B that is proposed for there is active again, that the owner of the property is actively searching for a buyer for that. I just thought it made sense, since we are the planning board and we should be a reactive board, a proactive board rather than a reactive board, that maybe we should talk to the owners to see if there's other options that we can talk about for the property other than a 9-year-old 40B that's gonna add 100 more houses, or maybe we can talk about some sort of mixed use, incorporating the area down there, something.
Gentlemen, please take it outside.
We're not we haven't expressed any interest in talking to anybody down there about anything other than the 40B, and time is of the essence. If we don't act now, then the 40B is gonna be there, and that's all we're gonna have. So it just makes sense. Do we wanna talk about it? Do we wanna see if we should invite the owner of the property in? Just makes sense before somebody buys that, and we've got another 40B in our hand. We already have, the 40B going in now. We don't know what the impact's gonna be to the schools and services there. Does it make sense to actively push a 9-year-old 40B?
Now, what brings this discussion to the table?
Because the Board of Appeals last month voted a 6-month extension to that permit, so the owner of that property feels that he has 6 months and he needs to do something or else he's gonna lose his permit. It's out being shopped around, developers are looking at it, so the.
How many times has that been extended?
It's 9 years. I have no idea how long it's been extended. I know it.
How long does it last for, a 40B project last
I
for,
don't know.
without any work being done? I know building permits, if you don't continue to work after, I think 6 months or a year, it's automatically.
That's not the issue. The issue is there's a 40B out there. It's got a 6
No,
month.
the issue is
Actually, the Permit Extension Act would have spoken
elapsed.
to that.
Yeah, can I speak to it?
Oh, please, yeah.
Do you know the answer, Mary?
The Permit Extension Act came into play, and it extended permits all across the board. Any permit in Massachusetts was extended. Maren, I can't remember, 4 years or 5,
It started out at 4 and then went 2 more.
and it went to 1 more.
Two more.
2 more. So
6.
whatever permit was granted in the window that was allowed there, I think it was 2004 through 7, any permits in that period, I think those are the years, got an automatic 7-year extension. But on this particular 40B, there's also the fact that construction started, and I think that there is currently building permits pending for 2 of the houses that are started to be finished. So that also extends the 40B permit.
Not if work is not done on a continuous basis, then the permit lapses after 1 year.
No, it did not on comprehensive permits. There, it's stated right in the,
But you're
So
missing.
regardless of that,
Right,
why would the zoning board of appeals extend a 40B project that is not good for the town to begin with? That's a bad,
They were advised by, I stood down because I
represent who?
represent Kimball. So I stood down from the hearing, but as far as I understood from watching the movie, watching the TV afterwards, and seeing the notes, as far as I understand, the Board of Appeals was advised by counsel who was present at the hearing that they had to extend it because of 2 things. One is because he pulled the building permits before the lapse, and they couldn't deny it. Now, the Board of Appeals, as I understand it, chose 6 months to put a really short leash on him. In other words, that he's got to get some substantial activity done under the permit. I think that's the way the decision is.
Whereas if they hadn't granted him an extension, there would be no
So
need
meaning
for
he's
it.
either
No, at that point,
Build
it
it or
goes
sell
back
it?
to the state, to the
So
HMC.
Is that what that means?
So the point is, it's either gonna be a 40B, or does the board wanna ask Mr. Kimball to come in and say, do you wanna put the 40B up, or do you wanna talk to us about another
All right, so this
alternative?
40B has been in limbo for how many years?
My time.
Long time, and all of a sudden, Mark's come up with this great idea, like, hey, let's talk to him. What prompts this?
I'm just, because he has a 6-month window, and he's actively asking every builder that is around this area, are they interested? I've gotten phone calls from other builders saying, hey, what's the status of the 40B? I'm looking at this is 100 houses, does the town wanna have another 40B? In my thinking, for the 25 years I've been, or 22 years I've been on this board, it makes sense to talk to people, to be proactive about change. That's what we've done here. That's why we have the point. That's why we had the expedited permits for doing IBM. They came here because 10 years before that, we thought about it. My point is, if we don't do anything and bury our heads in the sand, you're going to get a 40B. If you want to sit
20
on
years.
What?
I was just thinking of it.
If you're going to talk about it, you have a very short window now to ask somebody to come in and say, hey, are you interested in doing something, or do you just want to sell it as a 40B? If the board sends out an olive branch and says, we want to talk to you about a mixed use, we want to talk to you about something else, then maybe he'll come in. He may not, he may say, no, I'm going to do the 40B and that's it. You have to have the discussion in order to get the answer. That's all I'm trying to get at. Do we want to engage in a discussion with the owner of that 40B right now, or do you want to just say forget it and let the 40B come in?
I wonder if the board were to entertain that kind of action, I wonder if they would entertain talking with all the abutters, the Fletchers and Moran.
Doesn't matter. I think if you have the discussion, you bring everybody in. At least have the discussion.
And invite the selectmen in as well.
Absolutely. You have to start with a discussion. You can't just all of a sudden just let it in a vacuum, say, okay.
Because
I think you made a valid point, Mark, and I think, Rich, you added on to something that is viable. I think if we invite,
Everybody.
Mr. Kimball in, that we invite Bob Moran, and we
Invite
invite
'em all in. I
the
agree.
Fletchers and any other abutters on the property, down that corridor. Come in and talk to us and
Right.
say, is there something we can help you guys do to make our town stay great and protect that scenic corridor?
And maybe what we're talking about is revisiting Area C again.
That's awesome. Listen, why are we, I want to know why we're soliciting them to come in and talk to us. Why don't those three get together and come in and talk to us about what they want to do with their land? Why are we soliciting them? If he wants to build a 40B, let him build a 40B, I could care less. Why do we have to invite him to come in and talk to us? Why doesn't he just come in and talk to us?
Jerry, that's your opinion, some people do care.
No, I do care. What I'm saying is,
I
why
do
do I
care.
have to invite a developer to come in to develop his land?
I think the reason
Why can't you
being
just
is
come and talk
because
to us?
everybody before has told them
You haven't been
no.
listening to Mark.
Oh, I'm
Mark is-
listening to
Mark is-
everybody here. I'm listening to everybody here.
Everybody said no all along.
I'm
So now
listening
all
to
of a sudden-
both people who have skin in Area C and someone who's got skin in somebody else's land. I'm saying if those guys want to come in and talk, they should come in on their own and talk.
So then, should we? I'm
Why
asking
are
this-
people soliciting on this board? Why are we soliciting developers? That's what I want to know.
Explain the skin to me, though.
Someone's an advocate for Area C, and someone's an advocate for somebody else, and I don't think that's right in any case.
I'm just saying that you have a 40B staring you down the face right now.
Who cares? If he wants to come in and make a proposal for what he wants to do with his land, I'm all ears. If it makes sense, we would do it.
Because he's got nothing but negative feedback from everybody.
who?
The selectman.
From who?
He's
From who?
gone to the selectman.
Who would he have gotten negative
The
feedback
selectman.
from?
He's gone to the
What does that have to do with
selectman's
us?
Because we're the board that actually makes
That's
the
right,
decision.
we would make a recommendation.
So then, should we ask him if
And
he
you
wants to
still
come
have to
in?
go in front of the town. For a
Absolutely.
vote.
You have to. But you have to extend the olive branch and say, hey, listen,
I don't get this olive branch anything.
Look,
you have a 40B
There's
in
a
front of you
6
right now. There's a 6-month moratorium. If you owned it, what would you do?
Let's put it this way, if I owned that property and I didn't want to do a 40B, if I saw commercial viability, I would come into the town and say, I don't want to do a 40B, I want to do something else. This is my proposal. What do you guys think? That's what I would do.
Jerry, forward-thinking towns and cities have marketing departments to do exactly what Mark is suggesting we do right here.
I can't believe I'm agreeing with Richard.
I think that is awesome, Richard. Considering your history with Area C, I wouldn't call it a marketing plan.
What do you mean by
You
that?
know what?
Mr. Portante?
You actively advocated for the Fletchers to rezone Area C commercial. Yes or no?
For the purpose of putting in a indoor sports complex for the town, I have
Which is
absolutely
predicated
no
on the
horse
belief
in this race.
that all indoor sports facilities need a supporting commercial
I have
component.
no horse in this race. That's the only reason for my advocacy for Area C is to help bring better facilities and more facilities for the kids and parents of kids in this town.
Richard.
That's it.
That whole supposition is that any indoor sports facility had to have a commercial component to be economically viable, which is not supported by all the indoor sporting facilities around here that don't have one,
You know
that are killing it.
You know something, that was not just my idea. It began with MAPC, Metropolitan Area Planning Council.
Doesn't matter. Does
It's-
Acton Indoor Sports have a commercial component?
They do
That was them.
They do not.
Right now,
now.
what
You got
Mark
a
is
restaurant and a bar in it.
what Mark is suggesting is something
is
a
allowable
little.
on special
But you see how they started
global here.
that building? That building used to be a manufacturing company, so they had a shell already, so they're.
Already zoned
so
what?
they- And their cost is already very down here.
What about
To
four
start
kids?
brand new,
You know what?
So
I'm just-
gentlemen,
big,
let's,
big
I'm
difference.
just trying to be proactive. I just
I
think it
think-
makes sense before you bury your sand and have another 40B come to the town a little.
I think
If you
Mark's-
don't want to,
I think,
if you
let's
don't
make a
want
motion.
to extend
Yeah.
the olive branch and
I
ask
say
them
we
to
extend the
come in,
olive branch. I just want everybody's cards on the table.
Absolutely.
Because I am definitely not interested in squeezing anybody or putting anybody's private agendas on the table.
Not
If
a
somebody
problem
comes in
at
with
all.
a good
I don't care what-
plan
I don't care who
that's
you bring in.
viable, I'm all for it.
great. All right, so I'll entertain a motion that we invite the selectmen, all three landowners that have stake in that
And any
corner of
any
land.
abutters to those.
And any
and
of
all the residents
to our next meeting.
and the Coopers. While we're doing this, we might as well think globally.
Yep.
We need to bring the Cooper
Coopers are
farm
in
in.
butter. Coopers are
We
in
need to bring
butter.
Cooper Farm in here. If we're gonna look at this whole
Good.
area, let's look at it under a
Good.
big microscope.
But I would remind everybody
To-
what the feedback was.
to let
when we were
them-
talking
That's
about-
fine. I think,
All right,
think
so that's the motion, to invite them.
it's not a motion, it's just a suggestion.
We're having a conversation.
Right, we're having a conversation, so.
So I
Mark started this thing, how would you like it termed, Mark?
How would I like it? I would just say that we should have a
That's gonna be part of
conversation amongst the board, and the decision from the board is that we have to look at this whole situation as the whole entity. Let's bring everybody in who wants to come. If they don't want to come, then they don't
Good.
come. And
I'll
bring
entertain
everybody
that
in.
as a motion. Do we have a
As
motion?
part of the planning board, as part of what we do.
Is that a motion?
That's,
So moved.
I don't need a
We have a
motion,
second.
we just
We're
have.
gonna,
We're gonna make a
vote
motion,
on
we're gonna
this.
make a motion to send the invitation.
Yes.
Is it, do I get to pick out the invitation?
all in
I like them
favor?
frilly ones that say, you know.
Aye.
Gold
All
leaf?
opposed? The ayes have it.
Aye.
I'll entertain a motion
I'm
to.
moving, I'm telling
Motion to
everybody
adjourn.
on TV
The hearing.
land, I'm moving, I'm going to Florida, I'm doing something, I'm going. Oh my God.
Hearing
Second,
is
close the
closed.
meeting.
Good.
Do we have a motion?
That move, we shut the machine off. Please,
All in favor?
let's go drinking, fast.